we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the grind cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the grind cup, we're legends of mean. The esports oval league driving the arcade. Racing in the grind cup, we're legends of mean. The esports oval league driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The esports oval league with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the sky. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire. Lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the oval league's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The esports oval league driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The esports oval league driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The esports oval league with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission. The goal we all crave, speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops, time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. The tires screech, hearts pound, adrenaline's fire, lap by lap, chasing that finish line desire. Rookies and legends all fight for the crown, but only one will take the title down. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. So here's to the racers, the Oval League's pride. Through every twist and turn we ride or die. In the Grind Cup Series we find who we are, chasing glory and victory beneath the virtual stars. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're legends of mean. The ESports Oval League driving the arcade. Under the lights, engines roar, we're ready to go. The esports Oval League with the best race to show. Grinding gears, chasing dreams on the virtual track. No looking in the rear view, there's no turning back. Every lap it's a battle, every corner's a fight. Precision in the daytime, adrenaline at night. The Grind Cup Series, championship and mission, the goal we all crave. Speed and skill define the legends we raise. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where champions rise, pushing limits in the oval till we touch the skies. From the green flag to checkered, it's a razor thin edge, pushing harder with each second, living on the ledge, drafting on the straightaway, bumper to bumper. A split second mistake and you're going under. Pit stops time, perfect strategy in hand. Every driver, every team takes a bold stand. In the world of esports, this is where we collide. The Grind Cup unites us with passion and pride. Racing in the Grind Cup, we're burning the turns. Throttle wide open, feel the engines churn. It's the heart of the league where
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Flatout Racing Network's continued coverage of the 2025 season for the Esports Overlay Grind Cup Series. The playoffs are in full swing, already one round in the books. 17 drivers began the journey, 12 drivers continue here getting ready for the next of 3 races, which begins at the wildcard racetrack, Atlanta Motor Super Speedway style at a 1.5 mile repaved racetrack. A lot more congested. You can see the D-shaped broken front straightaway. Always makes things interesting with trying to line up those bumpers as you prepare for the entrance of 1 and 2. It's gonna be a race here tonight that more than likely all of our remaining 12 playoff drivers are gonna be looking at to win, because they'd love to go into the next 2 races of this round, already locked in to the Elite 8. I'm Seth Cole alongside of Scott Rankin, and Scott, all the racetracks so far, they've been difficult racetracks. They've been racetracks that, for the most part, you can kind of determine your own fate. Not as much here tonight.
Yeah, this is going to be a tricky one because there is some tire wear involved in this, and that's the big issue, is that as we've seen the progression sort of Atlanta, you kind of got to look after your stuff. The big thing, though, and I think this is the big key, is that it is so much more difficult to maintain a line and actually get the overtake done on as the tires sort of wear. So whilst it's, not necessarily a track position race in the early parts of things, it kind of actually is, because if you get cautions back to back, the tires are just going to go to a point whereby building those runs and the big thing is maintaining those runs is going to be difficult. And then keeping the cars glued to the bottom of the racetrack is going to be difficult. Keeping them glued to the top of the racetrack, that's going to be difficult. This is going to come down to, I think you got to lead off that last stop and have enough fuel to get home.
One of the interesting things as well, if we look back at that previous round, Chicagoland, Iowa, Bristol, there were a lot of drivers that had really good regular seasons, racked up bonus points with wins, with stage wins. Now, the only bonus points you get that transfer over here into the round of 12 are bonus points you accumulated in those first 3 playoff races. Taking a look at the playoff standings coming into tonight, Alan Dobbs is only +7. Dalton McKenney only +5. 2 playoff drivers that won 2 of the 3 first playoff races. You see only a mere 3 points up on the cut line is Trey Whitehead and Cooper, just only 1 point. Meanwhile, the other 8 remaining drivers are all tied up at 4,000 points apiece. With a racetrack here tonight and upwards of, I think it's 22, 23 drivers are going to take the green flag. That's a lot of points on the table. There's going to be a lot of shifting of drivers that come into this race currently calculated below the cut line moving up above, and vice versa. Drivers that currently are calculated above maybe falling below going into next week at the Charlotte Roval.
Yeah, that's the big thing, isn't it? I think this is going to be one of those. This is the section of the playoffs whereby it's actually more difficult to actually transfer out of, and the reason for that is just the difficulty level in actually surviving. All your points are reset. You only get to keep the points that you scored in that last round of the playoffs. That's huge, Seth. That is absolutely huge, because all of a sudden Dobbs' lead, he's going to have a strong run in this next period. He can't afford to have a little bit of a trip up. And don't forget, we got stages at 40 and 80 tonight as well. Stage points are critical. 1 bonus point on offer for winning the stage. That is critical. You've got to make sure that you're there. And I think stage wins now become far more important towards the end of the season with that knowledge in the back pocket.
Completely agree with you on that. I think every point that is available for payout is going to be super important here as we continue on into the postseason, as drivers are getting themselves gridded up. 5 drivers that were eliminated, unfortunately, from the playoffs last week included Chris Roberge, Patrick McQuaid, Matt Davies, Chris Hupka, and Matt Mettler. Obviously, commiserations to them, but it's like the agony and the ecstasy of the playoffs, right? Because obviously, you want the pressure because you want to still be in the hunt, but now that they're eliminated, they can focus on maybe going a little bit outside the box in terms of strategy. They don't have to worry about points. They can do whatever it takes now to try and see if they can go to victory lane. For actually all 5 of those drivers, they're still looking for their first checkered flag here of the 2025 season. So while obviously they'd love to have the pressure is kind of off. That mantle of worrying about points no longer a concern, and they can race maybe a little more free here tonight in super speedway style racing. We talk about it all the time. When it comes to a super speedway race, if you're in it, you can win it.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Survival. I think tonight is we talk about it normally in the stages about being, survival and sort of picking off points where you potentially can. I don't think that's the case. I think with 3 races, you're going to be a fair bit more aggressive. You got to get out and you got to go hard for it. So this will change. I think this will make things a little bit more aggressive, not less.
Taking a look here through the field, a couple of playoff drivers going to be on the front row. That being the 16 of Tom Bourne and the 19 of Peyton Holland. Holland coming into this race, currently calculated the first driver outside the cut line, but again, remember, he's tied with 7 other drivers. It's just based in terms of the ranking, I think it's of the season average finish, and Tom Bourne comes into this race currently in the 12th position of the 12 drivers, currently listed below the cut line, but right now literally in a 8-way tie for 5th in the overall standings. 170 laps here tonight, as Scott pointed out. Lap 40 is the conclusion of the first stage, when a valuable playoff point will be handed out. Another 40 laps after that to lap 80 for the conclusion of stage 2, and then we turn them loose for the final 90 laps of the night. The red line, 200 at the Atlanta Super Speedway playoff race number 4. First race of the round of 12 is green.
Good start. Good start from a number of drivers. That top lane actually got a little bit better sorted out there. And also worthwhile remembering how strong the Whitehead racing machines have been out the super speedways this season. But it's going to be the inside lane that leads us off of 1 and 2. Momentum building from the top side. We'll see if they can continue that progress.
It's interesting you mentioned the Whitehead Racing Toyotas and how strong they've been. I was actually looking through the field here tonight, trying to see who some of the favorites would be. It's interesting, if we look back at the 3 previous Super Speedway races, only 1 playoff driver is a former Super Speedway winner, that being Dalton McKenney, who won the regular season finale. The other 2 races, non-playoff drivers. Chris Rees, the first Daytona race, Tanner Marr at Talladega.
Yeah, great opportunity for somebody to write their name
Whoa,
in.
big hits in the inside wall. That was Jeff Kleinsma and Ryan Catalano.
Kleinsma's done. He is done, but I think there is a fast repair here tonight, so he'll still be alive. Johnny Williams is in there as well. Ryan Catalano. I think Jeff Vickery started from pit lane. That might have started with Faccionato.
Catalano to top it off. Hot Sauce Toyota Camry, one of our remaining 12 playoff drivers. Doesn't look like, well, there is something obviously dragging there. You can see the sparks coming off the right side. Oh yeah, there's a lot of right front damage. I didn't notice that on the first camera shot. And Jeffrey Kleinsma, he took a massive hit into the inside wall. I just barely saw it on the bottom of our live camera shot. We'll obviously get a more in-depth look there, but that's the one thing about this racetrack as well. You end up having an incident, unlike Daytona, Talladega, where you've got that spacious runoff before you get to the inside wall in the back straightaway. Not the case here. That wall's going to come up on you in a hurry.
Yeah, and Catalano, remember, transferring into this next round of the playoffs. Oh, it's a wiggle off the bottom, and I think there might have been a touch or a bad bump from in behind, because the car just shot right on Faccionato's perspective.
See if we can get another angle of it there. Yeah, the 25 Pepsi Chevrolet was the first one to get out of shape. Let's see if maybe a aerial view will give us an idea. Watch the red 25. Yeah,
Oh,
big
no.
wiggle.
But then comes back up. But the big thing from Catalano's perspective is there's nowhere to go there. Like,
No.
that's on him to recognize that he needs to lift out and make sure that he gets through that. I mean, it's lap 2 as well. So for Catalano, I think the thing you've got to look on board from this, you have a look at here from Kleinsma. See the gap? There's little to no gap. What's he going to do? Shoot the middle there? And Kleinsma comes down at the same time. Yeah. I understand what Catalano's trying to do there, but you've got to recognize that's not a hole. And you've got to lift it, regardless of Faccionato wiggling all around. Regardless of what's going on ahead, you've got to think survival, and that's not thinking survival.
You mentioned about the fact, and you are correct, there is a faster pair of available drivers here tonight, but obviously we'll document who the drivers are that take on the faster pair here in just a moment, but, I mean, lap 2, you don't want to have to use that mulligan here and now, because you get involved in another incident and it's terminal damage. That's it. That's your night over.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's tricky. for survival. You know, the big thing is like there are points awarded at the stage, and there is that bonus point for winning a stage that can be added. But it's just hanging on. There's just hearing that Ryan Cardellano's having some sort of issue with a meatball flag whereby it's not allowing him to clear it. So he's trying to get that car repaired and get out of the box, but it won't let him at the moment.
I did notice him sitting in his pit stall, and we got the lights out getting ready to go green. Currently scored 1 lap down, so we'll keep an update on that. No surprise, Jeffrey Kleinsman, who's back out there, he has used his fast repair in the very early going of this race. So it'll be Tom Bourne and Peyton Holland that'll line up on the front row once again here for the restart. Alan Dobbs, Trey Whitehead in row number 2. Row 3 going to be Brandon Cooper and Larry Bell. Row 4, happy birthday tonight to Brock Whitehead. We saw him go to victory lane for the first time this season last week under the lights at Bristol. He's in that 4th row with Jonathan Cogswell, and then Noah Jackson, Matt Davies going to make up the top 10 for this restart. Looks like a disconnect here from Ryan Catalano. Don't know if this is in an attempt to try and be able to get back in, get that flag cleared potentially.
That's what he's trying to do, because he's still not able to get out of the pit stall. That's what's going on as we hit the restart.
Flag back in the air, and a good launch on that top side. Trey Whitehead right on the back bumper of Peyton Holland. There was some distance from Bourne back to Dobbs, but now you see the shorter way around the racetrack prevailing there for driver 16. And it was interesting. I was watching these drivers in practice. I saw a group of them run the bottom. I saw them then move up to the outside line. A couple of them brushed that outside wall. This is a 3-lane racetrack, but it's a very narrow 3-lane racetrack because being as condensed as it is, 1.5 miles, while the other super speedways are over 2 miles in length. A lot of times you enter into a corner in a lane, that car wants to push up to a half lane above you. So with that being said, just how much importance do you think was put on starting track position here tonight, specifically for the playoff drivers?
Yeah, look, I mean, like I said, qualifying is actually relatively important here. And the other reason for that is also, don't forget those grid stalls. Just went back and watched the restart from Pat McQuaid. He actually had a very poor getaway. Restarted, I think, in 5th gear. We got to get back down through the gears, so that's caused actually a huge breakup in the pack. They're up to speed now. I'm just going to keep an eye on what their lap times look like relative to the field, but it looks like they are still losing time. And the problem is on the there is 3 cars connected in that group, and there is a 4th in Johnny Williams, but he's not actually adding any energy at the moment, running outside of them, so. And Chris Reese is also not adding any energy to that lead group, so they are slowly they're gonna need another caution, I think, try and help them.
Chris Reese, former Super Speedway winner this season, got the season kicked off at Daytona with the first checkered flag of 2025. As we're watching the side-by-side battle, this is for the 5th spot. Noah Jackson on the inside of his Whitehead Racing teammate Trey Whitehead, who now is going to have Brock Whitehead, his brother, move right up there in front of him, try to lead that outside line. It's going to be interesting to see just how much ground that second lane can make. Yes, it is the longer way around the racetrack, but you are able to stay in the throttle a lot longer, which then translates to good straightaway speed.
Yeah, for sure. And that generates, speed. But I think the big thing is the inside lane does actually check up a fair bit. And the other benefit of being up in the outside grid is you actually get a little bit more room to work with. You can use the outside lane, you can use the middle lane, you just get a little bit more room. So you can actually save a bit more tire up there. The tricky part is the actual transition into the corners, because cars can get loose, can get tight, depending upon the feeling they get.
Brock Whitehead get a little bit loose there off of 4, and this is what I was talking about. Normally, when you go to a Daytona, a Talladega, yes, you have the tri-oval, but it's a sweeping left-hander. It's 2 very abrupt left hands here when you exit off of 4 and get ready to prepare for turn 1 here on the D-shaped 1.5 mile oval. And with that being said, it makes things, as we saw there with the top 2 on that outside line, very difficult to keep the front and back bumpers lined up.
Yeah, tricky. And that's part of reading the race as well. So I think at the moment it's just about trying to just pick who you can work with as well. And you see the Whitehead group, 2 brothers working together in that top lane. 19's falling back a little bit. He's just slotted it. Oh, Trey!
From second place up and into the wall. I believe he got Christian Ruse in the 14 as well. That'll be the second caution of the night. It was hard to tell if maybe the car on the inside pushed up into him there from the initial look, but that car's suspension is certainly broken.
Yeah, it is.
Trey came into tonight one of 4 drivers that had bonus points that transferred from the first round to the second round of the playoffs, was in the 3 seed, 3 points above the cut line, and this has faster pair written all over it. You can see he's trying to drive this thing back, the reason being he doesn't want to have to waste the time it would spend of calling for a tow. If he can at least get that back to his pit stall, then he doesn't lose nearly as much track position or much time on pit road. What in the world happened to him? I saw that car all of a sudden just snap loose.
So have a look on the entry here, and you'll actually see a little bit of daylight, and then all of a sudden the car just goes around. There's a gap between him, Tom, and Trey, and it's Tom. iRacing is stating that Tom triggered the contact.
Nowhere for the
I think one of the tricky
Christian
things
Ruse
here
to be able to go. It's amazing we didn't have more drivers involved there. Larry Bell just barely was able to clear to the inside.
Yeah, I think one of there's a couple things that are involved in that. But you know, at the end of the day, it's comes down to, you know, the fact that the speeds are high here and the banking transition. At Daytona and Talladega, you think about those tracks and you go, well, they've got a similar amount of banking. Yes, they do, but the width of the corners is less. You got to remember here we got really tight, really narrow corners, and prediction coding likes a stable platform. Prediction coding is very good in a straight line whereby there's no cars. That's where it works really well. Prediction coding doesn't work as well where there's big bumps and there's cars doing speed and the cars are a little bit all over the place. And I think there's a little bit of air there. There's banking transitions. You know, there's a few things going on. So
saw that on board with Christian Ruse, nowhere to go. A couple of other drivers that may have gotten bits and pieces of the incident. Saw the 15 of Jeffrey Kleinsma. Might have gotten a little bit of Christian Ruse, and he might have clipped the right rear of Matt Mettler, who made an evasive move down to the infield grass to avoid. 31 might have gotten through unscathed, but it was very close.
yeah. So it's just, again, I think at the moment this is just all about survival, right? So get your head down, keep yourself in the clear, do what you can, and just look after the thing. Because right now it is just very difficult to survive and make your way through, I think, is the big thing right now.
This caution was a big break for that group of 4 or 5 you were talking about that were quite a ways back after the errant restart by Patrick McQuaid. This now catches them all back up to the lead group once again. You see the 62 of Reese back there. There's the 77 of McQuaid. So an opportunity now for them to be able to work their way forward through the field here. Different looking front row. Bourne will still be on the inside, but Brock Whitehead will be to the outside, and Brock is the control car here. Deciding to go up top with Alan Dobbs, a Whitehead Racing teammate for this restart. Looks like Peyton Holland will be the pusher for the 16 on the inside line. And they'll be followed by Brandon Cooper, Larry Bell, Rylan Faccianato, Noah Jackson, Dalton McKenney, and Jonathan Cogswell. That's going to be the top 10. Looks like 21 of our 26 drivers on track on the lead lap. Jeffrey Vickery is the only driver 1 lap down, but looks like he's on pit road right now getting repairs done. And looks like we're still having some issues for Ryan Catalano. Saw him come back into the server for a brief moment, but looks like he's exited once again.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think for Catalano, he actually can't get back out on track at all. He's trying. He's desperately trying, but as soon as... I think what's going on is that there is now, in the sim, there is a too much damage, we're done message. So I think what's effectively happened for Catalano is he's got that message. Now, there is a fast repair, but if it's unchecked when you roll into the pit box, it won't allow you to check that and take the fast repair. You need to be able to move, and you can't be released from the pit stall until the car's in a safe condition to be released back out on the track. So he's effectively... in a position whereby he can't be released on track because there's too much damage, but he has a fast repair that he'd like to use to get damage repaired. And yeah, the sim is just breaking at that point, not letting it back out on track.
I admire the tenacity to try and make it work, because I go
He's
back
got
to
to.
last week where we ended up seeing, we gave a bit of a chance to Rylan Faccianato, and then as the course of the night went on, he was multiple laps down, but more drivers would retire out of the race. He would pick up a spot here, pick up a spot there, and as the night progressed, his chances of being above the cut line got better and better and better. Kind of flipping the script with it being early on in this second round of the playoffs, but same thing can apply to Ryan Catalano. Yes, right now, not looking like a great situation, but as we say, every position, every point matters. Drivers run into issues here the longer this race goes on. Laps that he completes, that drivers are out of the race with, those positions he picks up, they could be important when we end up getting to the elimination race at Auto Club.
Yeah, I think they're going to be very, very important. We've actually just seen a car bubble out of line up there as well. I think that might be Tanner. No, it's Jonathan Cogswell who's looking for a little bit of assistance, and Tom Bourne was looking for someone to try and help him in that outside groove, and he's now going to find that. So, but Bourne got shuffled out. Sort of the top 10, 11 drivers haven't been to pit lane yet. Everyone else behind them has, for a little bit of a top off on fuel. Just trying to offset themselves, do something different. You might see a few drivers try and flip a stage here.
Yeah, interesting you mentioned that too, because a lot of times we'll see at a super speedway, drivers will flip a stage towards the end, towards the conclusion of stage 1 or stage 2, be able to come down, take on fuel, tires if necessary, come back out, and they remain on the lead lap when the caution comes out. Not so much the case here at Atlanta Super Speedway. You come down pit road, you're almost guaranteed you're losing a lap, so you probably won't see drivers run that type of a strategy here tonight.
Not commonly, no. Look, second stage, at the end of the second stage, I think there is a room for that. And the reason for it is what you're looking for is track position in that final stage. If you weren't going to get stage points at the end of stage 2, and it's going to be, effectively, you've got to remember that you've got to try and eliminate a stop. If you can't eliminate a stop, that's where your strategy sort of intervenes, and flipping a stage might work. If you get 3 or 4 cars that come with you, that will work in the race at large. If nobody comes with you, then it won't work. And Bourne's going to, again, try and get this outside lane. He's lost so much ground that it's in his best interest to try something.
Christian Ruse is up there with him as well. Also the aid of Mark Gonzalez on the inside lane. Ruse up into the fence. Looks like the Mark Gonzalez machine and the Christian Ruse machine have both taken on a faster pair since the start of this race, so they no longer have that mulligan to be able to lean on. Also looks like the 12 of Austin Cooper, Trey Whitehead, and the 23. They have also taken on faster pairs, so we're starting to compile a pretty hefty list here. We haven't even reached the conclusion of stage 1.
Also, don't forget about what we got left in this next round of the playoffs as well. So, you know, drivers that are looking to try and use them up, and you sit here and you go, yeah, you kind of got to. We got Atlanta this week, Roval next week, and then Auto Club on 17th of September. And it's a shame actually, because I'll be in Melbourne attending an event for Logitech that week, so I'll actually miss out on that final week of that round of the playoffs. But I think it'll be a big one. Have a look at, you know, now that second line started to form up, there's guys are actually making a whole bunch of gains. Mark Gonzalez, I think, is one of the guys that jumped out of that second groove, and he's making time.
Right behind the 54, Brandon Cooper, who's currently flanking the 20 of Noah Jackson. Noah Jackson finished second in the regular season standings. Carried no bonus points from the first round here into the second round. According to the live points, he came in as the cut line driver, but looking really good here tonight. And again, as we mentioned at the top of the evening, for the remaining 12 playoff drivers, this is not only an opportunity for some to maybe get their first win of the season, but it's an opportunity to go into those tough tracks you just documented. The Charlotte Roval next week. Auto Club Speedway for the elimination race of this round of 12. You win here tonight, you can go into those races, finish dead last in both of them. You know you're at least advancing into the round of 8, the third round of the playoffs.
Yeah, so it'll be about, you know, I think the big thing is with the risk level that comes with the complete points reset is that you can have an amazing season. Alan Dobbs is a big risk to get eliminated in this next round. He's been brilliant, been just about untouchable this season. Huge risk. He's going to have brilliant races. It's the same for everyone. So I think the mindset of a driver changes when you understand that you've got a points reset like that, because you can come in a lot of comfort, a lot of buffer, and then it gets taken away. So now you do have to have 3 great weeks. They don't have to be amazing weeks. They don't have to be the best weeks in the world. You know what? With the amount of guys that are on the same set of points coming in here tonight, 3 good weeks is probably enough, but you got to have 3 good weeks. You can't have 1 amazing week and 2 awful weeks. That will not guarantee you. That will not push you through. And we've got a road course in the middle of that. Cannot tell you how difficult that is going to be to progress out of a road course. Shane Van Gisbergen would be absolutely jumping out of his shoes to see a road course in the middle of the playoffs like that, because he knows he can get out there and dominate it. But how about everyone else? Dobbs has been one of the quicker drivers at the road courses this season. What is everyone else going to step up and do? And it's the Charlotte road course. Anything can happen. Tom Bourne's in the fence. Big contact.
No caution. We got a couple of cars on the apron there, including Matt Davies.
He's done. Bourne, that's mega damage to him. I think that's a towing.
Both damage on the left front and on the right side. Oh yeah, to your point, you can see the sparks flying out from underneath that Chevrolet. He's going to have to, well, it looks like he's going to try and make another lap here. That's a tough break there for Tom Bourne, who started this race from the pole position, still currently under green flag conditions. And he was getting aggressive there as well. Just a couple laps prior, he took it 3 wide up the middle with Matt Davies and had worked his way back up into the top 10. If I'm not mistaken, I believe he was one of those drivers you were talking about. I was double checking. Oh, no, he wasn't. I thought he might have been one of those drivers that had come down pit road and I was trying to do something a little bit different on fuel, but apparently he was not. And you've got to think he's going to be making the dive onto pit lane here shortly. I don't think that car is going to be able to log many more laps with how off the pace it is.
So, interesting to note at this point in time that Pack's sort of been separated. Bourne's going to be on pit lane. That'll have to be a fast repair, which means the other side of the coin for him is he now can't be anywhere near as aggressive. And he's going to be fighting for the lucky dog with Austin Cooper at the moment. And I think Austin Cooper's going to come past him this time by. So all of a sudden, you know, there's a fair bit that's happening here that's sort of just shaking everything up. That's huge contact. And it's just, again, cars wiggling all over the place. Why is there a car out there? Is that Mettler down the apron? Or was that Matt Davies? Yeah, left front tire was off it.
Trying to avoid it. Kind of, he talked about the checkup. It looks like that was one of the huge byproducts of that right there. It looked like it might have been Larry Bell was having to check up for Mark Gonzalez, and as he checked up and moved up the racetrack, that then put his right rear into the left front of Tom Bourne. That sent him up into the outside wall. Little room for error when it comes to a track like Atlanta Super Speedway. As we mentioned, it may be a super speedway, but it's one of the narrowest on the circuit.
Yeah, it is, and the banking in the corners and the amount of effort you got to do to pull the car around the corner as well is tricky. This is one of those ones where I think you'll see Tom Bourne actually look to flip the stage and hope for a caution that second stage, just because gets him back on the lead lap earlier, gives him the opportunity to score some stage points, which I think are going to be critical. Peyton Holland, again, up at the pointy end. He's put some work in the last couple of weeks to improve himself.
I think you and I agreed last week, Bristol, race of the year for him.
Yeah, stage points were critical. That was, you got to remember, last week coming into that one, he was the lowest driver that was still relevant to the playoff equation. Everyone else that was behind him, not relevant to the playoff equation, basically. So he had to go out there and do something dramatic, and, well, he delivered. When he was asked to, he delivered. So
that speed is carried over into tonight. Started this race from the outside of the front row, still up here inside of the top 5, and to your point, maybe eyeing some more stage points here this evening to help his case in advancing into the round of 8. He's currently side by side with Mark Gonzalez. That'd be for 4th place. Ahead of him, Dobbs and Jackson side by side for 2nd, and leading the field Non-playoff driver in Brock Whitehead. I mentioned 2 of the 3 drivers so far this season that have won the Super Speedway races did not advance into the postseason to fight for the championship. Dalton McKenney is the only playoff driver that has formally won here in 2025 at a Super Speedway, and that was the regular season finale at Daytona.
Yeah, that was critical just to sort of give him that little boost to get through the first part of the playoffs. Have a look at the cars. They're just about to go a lap down here too. The leaders are coming up on them, and Tom Bourne's managed to get back by Austin Cooper. So this is for the battle for the Lucky Dog. So that's critical. The problem for this group of cars is that they need to try and stay at 1 lap down. If they go to 2 laps down, their night is going to get significantly more tricky. The other problem though is that Matt Metler, we're 3 or 4 laps away from the stage here too. Matt Metler is at risk going a lap down. That makes that equation even more tricky. 2 laps to go on the stage, and you got a bunch of cars fighting for it here. Metler needs to stay on that lead lap. It's going to check. This is going to get tricky.
Man.
Hugely tricky.
Where do you go? That's Johnny Williams up into the wall, trying to let the drivers by as he's going to bounce off of. I think that might have been Brandon Cooper. No, it was Noah Jackson.
He's done.
Yeah, he's up into the fence. The whole right front panel just flew off of that Chevrolet. Still green, however, as he continues rolling, and that trio of drivers just ahead of the race leaders. Gonna try and keep them at bay. 1 more lap here. Proverbial white flag in stage 1. Alan Dobbs gonna get around the outside here of Brock Whitehead, who's currently walled in behind the 31. Might have a photo finish here for the stage victory as Metler is trying to block both lanes here. Tom Bourne trying to stay ahead at the 12. Lot of battles to stay on the lead lap in the Lucky Dog conversation. To the stripe, it will be Dobbs who pick up the stage victory. I think Brock Whitehead might have just barely gotten second on Noah Jackson. Metler does stay on the lead lap, and Bourne managed to stay a car length ahead of Austin Cooper to get the free pass.
Oh boy, I think that was
that was only stage 1.
I want to say Metler stayed on the lead lap by a couple of inches, and I'm talking inches. What does that change? Well, if he doesn't stay on the lead lap, then he's in the risk of losing a whole bunch of time, and that shuts off Tom Bourne from getting back on the lead lap, and it shuts off potentially Cooper from getting back on the lead lap. So that's how critical that was. So Dobbs grabs the stage victory.
Interesting as I look at this as well. I believe there's only 6 of the top 10, or maybe 7 of the top 10 that are going to get stage points here. Dobbs the stage win, Noah Jackson 3rd, Peyton Holland 4th, Dalton McKenney 5th, then Cooper 7th, Cogswell 8th. And I thought that McQuaid got 10th and Facchinato got 11th, but now it's showing Facchinato up in 9th. So I'm not sure if Facchinato got stage points there or not.
I'm just going back and reviewing it at the moment just so I can punch it in and keep potentially keep our points rolling a little bit quicker as well.
Dobbs elects to stay out. Everybody else coming down pit road here. So interesting strategy there by the stage 1 winner, Brock Whitehead.
That's a mistake.
And company going to come down to the attention of their crew. Yeah, you talked about tires being important. I mean, we're talking 40-plus laps on the tires of the 35 in comparison to everybody else. So if not on fuel alone, maneuverability going to be a huge deficit for the current leader. Looks like Brock Whitehead's going to win the battle off of pit road of all the drivers that came in. Also to document, we were so focused on that battle there at the close of the stage. You see the 21 of Jeffrey Vickery has made his way back out onto the racetrack, albeit 24 laps down, but he will continue to run the remainder of this race. And that Chevrolet looks like Dobbs is coming down pit road this time by.
Yeah, so that's a mistake.
Yeah, they might have not known that pit road was open. And of course as well, this pit road is so unique in the fact that most racetracks, you come to pit road out of the exit of turn 4. No, here at Atlanta Superspeedway, as you saw right there, you got to pit on the apron of the entrance to turn 3, all the way around the apron here through 3 and 4, and then come to pit road.
Yeah. They changed that earlier this year. That's a brand new change, by the way. So just punching in stage points into my calculator at the moment. So you just give me a few moments. I'll keep you up to date.
All right, so we do know that Tom Bourne got the free pass back on the lead lap. Austin Cooper going to be the only driver 1 lap down here on this restart. Johnny Williams currently 4 down, and Jeffrey Vickery is currently 23 laps down, last car running. We said we'd keep you updated on playoff contender Ryan Catalano in the 92. It looks like all the efforts have been in vain. Looks like he has left the server, and we have not seen him come back in. That is a tough break there for Catalano, who was a driver who very handily made his way into the round of 12 in last week's elimination race, now having to rely on the Charlotte Roval and Auto Club. Too early to say must win for Catalano here, but I think probably in those next 2 races he's in must perform.
Yeah. I think he was actually really strong back at Road America. I think he was like 3rd or 4th car, so he's got a really good opportunity to score a boatload of points there. That's his saving grace, really. He's got to score stage points in both the stage, strong stage points, win if he can, and he should be okay.
Lights out on the pace car. We're going to get ready to go back green. Stage 1 in the book. Stage 2 getting ready to be run up to the conclusion of lap 80. Brock Whitehead again elects the top side here for this restart. Noah Jackson will line up to his inside. Then Dalton McKinney, Peyton Holland, Mark Gonzalez, your top 5. Big launch for the 71. Maybe too big of a launch, although Peyton Holland's going to take advantage of that little lane just in front of Noah Jackson. He'll move down to the bottom as they'll look to reel the 71 back in through 1 and 2.
So big opportunity as well. Just done a quick calculation on the stage points now as well. The guys that are now on the outside are Christian Roos, Jeff Kleinsma, Ryan Catalano, and Tom Bourne. Those are the 4 drivers who failed to score stage points in stage 1. And Jonathan Cogswell is the driver just above the cut line as well.
Cogswell currently in the 6th position. I believe that's around where he finished in that first stage. And what a difference a caution makes, a stage caution in this case here. We saw them double wide, 3 wide on a couple of occasions. Now we go into stage 2, and we're going to ride around a little bit. Single file, everybody going to try and hug that double white line.
Yeah, I think it's just patience. At the moment, it's just chill, read the race.
We do have a bit of an update here as well. Not sure if something was a little bit more untoward there with the 35 of Dobbs staying out, but Alan Dobbs now being scored 2 laps down, spent about 40 plus minutes in his pit stall, and is currently in the 20th position. So
what happened
would not
there?
be in line for a free pass either, with there being another car ahead of him that's -1.
So the big thing there was that he missed the pit window. The pit window was actually closed. So for him, effectively what happened was that he's missed the window to actually get into the pit lane. So when he come back down the next lap, it's given him a stop and hold penalty for missing the pit cycle. So now he is 2 laps down, and he's off the pack as well. So he is potentially going to lose more time and potentially go 3 laps down. He gets the 3 laps down. He's not scoring points in this race. That makes him at risk. You know what? I reckon next week is the must-win situation now.
Could very well be. I mean, we mentioned it, right? I mean, yes, he got the stage win here tonight, but he came into tonight only 7 points above the cut line. Nobody was safe of advancing their way in coming into tonight. Plenty of room for drivers that were projected above the cut line to fall below, and for drivers that were projected below the cut line to move their way up, and that's just tonight alone, not even bringing the Charlotte Roval and Auto Club into the conversation. What a birthday night it would be for Brock Whitehead if he could not only pick up his second victory on the season, but do it in back-to-back weeks. We saw him be able very patiently to make his way to the front and lead the closing stages of last week's race at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And here tonight, he's had one of the strongest cars, at least one of the best leading cars here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway, been able to get himself to the front and been able to stay at the front.
Yeah. And it's just now it's patience. Everyone's single filed out. The aggression's gone out of the race because I think there is actually a little bit of fuel saving in this next segment. So fuel and tire saving I think are quite critical at this point in time. But yeah, this is not going to be easy.
So with that being said, with them potentially saving fuel here, you mentioned about maybe the conclusion of stage 2, drivers thinking about flipping the stage. With us backing the pace down here, does that throw that conversation out of the window here, that more than likely everybody is of the thought process, let's just make sure we have enough fuel to get to the end and nobody might think about flipping the stage for the third and final one?
That's the tricky part, is if you have to pit for fuel, then you're not making the end of the stage. Johnny Williams is going to come down the pit lane. He's done, I think, for the day. And dive into the pit lane and jump out of the way. And the critical factor is you got to be smart about what you're doing in the race. I think if you run... Ryan Catalano is actually back out on track, by the way.
That's huge.
He finally,
That's important.
he finally was able to get back out on track. But the difficulty for him...
He did get the faster pair as well.
He's 49 laps down, and he's never getting that back unless we get just too many cautions.
But again,
nearly swore on broadcast then.
But again, remember back to last week, Catalano finished, or not Catalano, Facchinato. I don't remember how many laps down he was. He was double digits, I'm pretty sure. But he was able to, during the course of the night, he was able to pick up, I think it was 3 or 4 positions projected higher than where he was going to finish. You know, you mentioned about Johnny Williams coming down pit road, might be done for the night. Jeffrey Vickery out on the racetrack, multiple laps down. If we end up, we mentioned there's more than a half dozen drivers out here that have already used their faster pairs. One just hit the wall on the inside. That was Rylan Facchinato. Caution is going to wave, and this is what I'm talking about. If we continue to have this here tonight with drivers that have already used their faster pair mulligans, this could help Ryan Catalano to pick up even just a few spots in the finishing results.
Yeah. Yeah, did.
Lot of left front damage on that Pepsi Chevrolet of Rylan Facchinato. One of the drivers that we talked about last week who was able to pick up spots in the closing stages to advance into this next round of the playoffs, but he's going to be the one that brings out the 4th caution of the night, 3rd caution for cause, and second time tonight we've seen a driver go down and pound that inside wall entering into turn 3.
Yeah, I think it's just an issue. Obviously, with just everything that's going on. Just a little bump out of sequence. And again, that's the second time tonight he's made that mistake. He might be done for the day, you know.
I just checked. He does have a faster pair still. Looked like...
Oh, somebody just...
See right there, looked like Patrick McQuaid was looking at the inside of Facchinato. Facchinato thought he was clear, comes down. Massive hit into the inside wall. This caution, I believe, should have put Austin Cooper on the
Austin
lead
Cooper's
lap.
done for the day. He had an issue under caution.
See if we can find that. He was the only driver that was 1 lap down. Was catching up to the tail end of the field. Oh, and then the car just throttled up.
Yeah, it was. There was a little bit of discussion in sim. He was actually trying to. There was an issue with spotters, and he was trying to fix that and looked away for a few moments.
Got into the back of Jeffrey Kleinsma. Looks like Matt Davies got a piece of it as well. I don't know if that changed who the free pass went to or not. It's showing now the 35 of Dobbs. 1 lap down, but looks like he might have taken the wave around here.
Wave by. The field pit?
No.
The field did not pit, so Alan Dobbs would have gotten the lucky dog there.
Okay. Yeah, we had a trio of drivers that did come down pit road. Tanner Marr, Matt Mettler, and Tom Bourne, but our current top 15 all stayed out here under this yellow. And we saw them all just kind of riding, saving fuel. This caution period going to allow them to be able to save even more under these pacing laps. So we'll be going back green somewhere close to 20 laps to go.
Fortunato's coming back to pit lane.
Yes, he is. Oh, they never repaired that car. He's still got that left front damage.
Which means he's going to go a lap down as they go back to green flag.
Yep.
Yeah.
He spent, all right, no, he hasn't pit yet. He never came to pit lane under this caution period. This is his first time coming to pit lane here since he hit that inside wall.
He'll get a penalty for this. Yeah.
So this is not going to work out to his benefit. Yeah, to your point, he's now going to be taking this service under green flag conditions rather than under caution when drivers were pacing. So he's definitely going to go at least a lap, potentially more down. Depends on if he takes the faster pair here. He may only lose 1 lap, and we'll double check on that as he is pulled into the attention of his crew. Brock Whitehead gets us back under green with Noah Jackson there in second, Peyton Hall in third, Brandon Cooper in fourth, and good comeback here for Christian Ruse. We saw him involved in an earlier incident. He's already a faster pair in the hole, but up inside of the top 5.
Dalton McKinney's got a meatball. Something's just happened to him, I think, on the restart.
Certainly off the pace here. Car is, well, it looked like he was losing. He is losing speed.
He got a huge whack from, yeah, he's missing a tire.
Yeah. Lot of damage on that right side.
So that's going to put him in a position where he's... Is he going to stay out? He's going to try and stay out.
We saw Tom Bourne do the same thing when he had his incident, stayed out a lap or two, maybe hoping that a caution would come out immediately after to save him. That split the field up a ton, too. We've got 9 drivers in this lead pack, another 2.5 seconds back to 10th place Jeffrey Kleinsma in the second half of the field.
Oh, boy.
Well, we call it a wild card race, and a lot of playoff drivers have had some issues here tonight.
Just weird issues, too.
Yeah. Dalton McKinney, we mentioned the only playoff driver that had formerly won this season at a super speedway. Is there you see him right side of the screen. He's coming to pit road. Loses a lap right there and may lose more. Dalton does have a faster pair available to him here. Rylan Facinato has returned to the track. He's 1 lap down, but he has used his faster pair. That's next time by. We'll be at 16 laps to go here in stage number 2. Now, we had a playoff driver win the first stage. Imagine if you're Brock Whitehead and you end up winning stage 2. That is a valuable playoff point that a playoff driver could carry into the round of 8 that Brock Whitehead would basically be rendering null and void.
Yeah. And also worthwhile noting as well, you've got to remember, effectively a stage win is worth 11 points to a playoff driver. Why? 10 points plus the bonus point. But that bonus point carries through the next round. That is the critical factor of that. That's the point that you get to carry through for 2 rounds worth of racing. That's... Cannot tell you how important that is. This field is split into 2 packs yet again, and they're trying to get themselves organized, but that second pack is running too wide.
Oh, we got a wreck! Brandon Cooper!
Caution's out.
Did he save it? I think he did. Almost a la Kyle Busch at Daytona. That thing was in a 4-wheel slide.
Yeah, he saved it.
Didn't overcorrect it, and I believe he was able to hang on to it with minimal to no damage.
That he did.
Wow.
Just a touch of left rear damage, and I think his rear diffuses. No, his rear diffuser is actually okay. So he's going to survive and move on.
Christian Ruse got a big run on him here going into 1. Got to his left rear, and right there. So easy to overcorrect and have it nose up into the outside wall, but he caught it at just the right time. Was able to get it pointed in the right direction. Didn't lose much in terms of positions either, but more importantly, kept that car relatively intact, because that had fast repair written all over it from the word go.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun to watch. This is on board with the 54. Watch the hands as he gathers this thing back up.
And the critical thing in these moments is don't overreact. See how little steering wheel input he actually had? That was the critical factor. If he went for a lot more steering wheel input, that would have overcorrected. And I think the big thing is, the second time, it might be worthwhile going back and watching this one again, but keep your eyes on the rear view mirror in the top right. This shot. Keep going back. Watch Kristen Ruse and watch the run that he generates. So runs building, and you can hear Cooper's a little bit out of the gas. Huge run, goes to the inside. And what Brandon Cooper is saying on the radio is, man, we still got 110 laps in this thing. 13 laps or so. Sorry, my apologies. About 103, 104 laps at this point in time. Why are you making a move like that? Ruse, I got speed. And he had a huge run. And I have no problem with Brandon Cooper blocking that, but he also blocks that so late. So realistically for me, that's an incident that's on both drivers. Could Ruse have checked up? Yes, he could, but the run was huge. Should he be going for that at that point in time? That's a debate. That's a racecraft debate. And he's keen for stage points to keep his season alive.
I was going to say, Christian
Brandon
didn't
Cooper
get any stage points in stage 1, so even just that one position could be huge for him in gaining another stage point at the conclusion of stage 2.
And for Brandon Cooper, he says, oh, you shouldn't be going for that move at this point in time. Well, the converse of that is you shouldn't be blocking that at this point in time as well. So that's one of those ones for me where it's on both drivers to prevent that from happening, and both of them could have made more decisions. That's effectively two drivers going, no, this is my spot at the same time. And that's how you see it play out in the racetrack sometimes.
So Cooper did not come to pit road. He'll restart in the 9th position. You mentioned tires here tonight. This is one of the rare super speedways where tires are important. That 4-wheel slide, just how much grip is that 54 going to have now than he did on the previous restart?
Yeah, he should be okay. They do wear just not as bad as you think. So yeah, he's gonna suffer. He may have to lift a little bit more in the corners, but he should generally be okay.
This caution going to get us a restart around 11 laps to go here for the conclusion of stage 2. It puts Alan Dobbs back in the lead lap. Rylan Faccianato would now be in the free pass position with the upcoming guaranteed caution at the conclusion of lap 80, as he's the only driver 1 lap down. Dalton McKenney then would be next in line, as he is 2 laps down in the 19th position. And I've been keeping track here. We're documenting the troubles for Ryan Catalano. We know Austin Cooper's out of the race. Jeffrey Vickery, just moments ago, brought his car to pit lane and made the left-hand turn to the garage area. So within the next 25 laps, Catalano will move up to 22nd. Within the next 37 laps, he should move up to 21st. Could be 2 very valuable positions by the time we get to the elimination race in 2 weeks at Auto Club.
Good restart here for the inside lane.
1, 2, 3 with White. Oh, trouble! Mark Gonzalez around on the back straightaway. Larry Bell has spun it as well, and caution will fly. Lot of damage left side. The nose of Larry Bell's Chevrolet Camaro. Who I believe was not involved in the initial. I believe he was involved in the follow-up there. As Mark Gonzalez was the first car out of shape. He's got a lot of damage on his right rear quarter panel. Looks like he might be having difficulty getting that car to turn left. Take a look at what happened here.
Brandon Cooper's the car with contact, 2 incidents in a row, really.
Both rubbing doors. Oh, nowhere for Larry Bell to go. Oh, Dalton McKinney and Rylan Faccianato. We were just talking about both those drivers relying on the future cautions to put them back in the lead lap. Both of them got hits, and remember, both of them during that last period that between this caution and the previous, both took on their mulligan fast repairs.
Yeah. So, but just have a look at trying to dodge.
Oh, wow. Right front went up in the air on the 46. I think maybe the same for the 25. And that is significant damage for the 46 car. I'm not exactly sure just how significant it is for Faccianato, but definitely that right front quarter panel crumpled up on the Pepsi Chevrolet. And correct me if I'm wrong, I know we've documented this in previous races. Based off the fact that the 46 was involved in the incident, would have gotten an incident point for that, would render him null and void from receiving the lucky dog under this caution.
So, I'm going to try and get Ryan Catalano back in this game because that's... try and get him as many wave buys as possible. Dalton McKinney's done for the day, by the way.
So too is Larry Bell and Tanner Marr, and it looks like now Mark Gonzalez. Boy, has the landscape of this race changed if your name is Ryan Catalano. There's enough laps in this race with everyone that's just retired out of the event. He could finish 16th here tonight. He was destined to finish 23rd.
Yeah, and we're going to try and get him back to 3 or so laps down to give him a shot. Then he's got to race his way back on.
We've still not yet gotten that caution for the conclusion of the stage, too. We still got stage points to hand out here in a matter of about 7 laps when they hit the stripe this next time by.
Yeah, and it's only 7 laps away as well, which means it's a great opportunity.
Looks like 16 drivers still remain in this race, 14 of them on the lead lap. Rylan Faccianato on pit lane, 2 laps down. We saw him involved in that last incident. He's already used his fast repair, so everything that's being done now to his Camaro is having to be manual repairs.
And Faccianato's got to... So, drivers we've now lost, Tanner Marr, Mark Gonzalez, Austin Cooper, Johnny Williams, Larry Bell, and Dalton McKinney. So we've now lost 6 drivers from this race.
So officially, Dalton McKinney going to be the first of the 12 drivers that moved on to this round of the playoffs that will be the first retiree here tonight from the Atlanta Super Speedway. He didn't go into the regular season finale at Daytona in a must-win situation. He was already locked in on points, but some late regular season theatrics saw him pick up a checkered flag and some valuable playoff points in preparation for the postseason. We also saw him a couple of weeks ago under the lights at Iowa pick up a thrilling victory that locked him here into the round of 8. Charlotte Roval Auto Club Speedway might have to rely on some dramatics once again if he's going to have a shot of advancing into the the round of 8.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You know, how brave are you going to be? How many stage points are you going to try and get after it at this point in time? You know next week is going to be less of a wild card and more of a safety race, and just keep yourself going in the right direction. Yeah, I cannot tell you actually how difficult Charlotte Roval is in stiff race cars like these. They bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce over all the chicanes. So keeping the car planted is very, very difficult. I believe also at the end of the season we potentially got the updated scan for the Charlotte Roval. So this actually next week might be on the new Charlotte Roval. I can't confirm that one, is my only thought. So
got a high line forming back here. Looks like that's Brandon Cooper up on the top line there. Trey Whitehead. I believe that's Alan Dobbs also up there. So some Toyotas working together, trying to fight their way up into the top 10, get themselves some stage points before the conclusion of stage 2, which will be here in the next 4 laps. Something I've been watching here, and maybe it's a little bit more exemplified since we're under the lights, but I've been watching these drivers all night long as they make their way through the corners, and you can see the sparks coming off the left rear quarter panel. Is that the diffuser, or is that the left front splitter digging into the racetrack? And is that just visual? Do you actually feel that in the race car?
You can feel it, and there is actually an audible sort of clunk as the car actually comes across the racetrack and bounces off it. It's the front splitter more than it is the diffuser in the center of the race car. The sparks aren't actually metal. Well, they are metal, but you got to remember these cars actually have skid blocks, because at the end of the day, you don't actually. I can't tell you how expensive the splitters are, but I think it's in the realm of 20 to 25 grand for a brand new front splitter. So you don't want to be destroying that piece of the race car if you can prevent it. And you see this in Formula 1. The sparks in Formula 1, I believe, are a titanium skid block underneath those cars, something that you want to take the wear and tear of the race car hitting the road. I can't confirm what goes on with NASCAR. I don't know enough about the underbody of these cars, but I don't believe the sparks would be shooting off the race car if that was sort of fiberglass, which I believe the construction of the cars generally is. So that would be a piece of metal. Go ahead.
Big save from Chris Reese as that car got all sorts of loose off of turn 4. He's going to come down pit road trying to back it down there, but great save by Chris Reese, but tough for him as he was in that double wide, 3 wide mid-pack. Drivers trying to fight for those last spots here at the conclusion of stage 2, which we're coming around to here. Look at Peyton Holland up there on the outside trying to make it work all by himself.
Yep, he's got to try and have a go, and there it is, the end of that stage.
Brock Whitehead takes away a playoff point from
somebody. Huge incident.
That's Alan Dobbs and Matt Metler. Coming to the stage yellow, Brock Whitehead will pick up the stage victory. Not a playoff driver, so that's a playoff point that has been rendered null and void if you were a playoff contender. Noah Jackson going to cross the line in second, Peyton Holland third, with Trey Whitehead rather. Jonathan Cogswell the top 5, Ruse, Bourne, Cooper going to be the other drivers that will get stage points as playoff contenders, with Davies and Kleinsma the top 10. And I think you mentioned at the conclusion of stage 1 that Cogswell was on the cut line, so 7 stage points are going to be huge for him at the conclusion of stage 2.
So I'm just going to go back and check. So Brock Whitehead gets the stage win.
Oh, man!
Yeah.
So Metler spun, but he wasn't the one that got the hit. It was actually Ryan Catalano after Dobbs got spun off the nose of Jeffrey Kleinsma.
How about this for Peyton Holland in the last 2 weeks, though? He's picked up his average stage finish in the last 2 weeks at 3.5.
Wow.
He's had 2/3 and 2/4 out of the last 4 stages.
And I remember, even before we started the season, we were at Daytona to open it up, and you talked about stage points, how important they were going to be, not just in the regular season, but here in the playoffs. I think we're seeing exactly what you're talking about right before our eyes here in these first 4 playoff races.
This will be critical.
Two things I'd be concerned about there. One, the damage on Alan Dobbs' machine. I don't believe he has yet taken on a faster pair. I believe he's just taken
No,
it
I don't think he did
now.
either.
But the 92 of Ryan Catalano getting that hit there, don't know how much damage that's going to sustain for him as he's trying to work his way up through the field after more than a half dozen drivers ahead of him are out of the race, trying to work his way from 23rd to 16th. Now, it looks like he is still under power. And it looks like he is actually still going to continue. Maybe the saving grace for him was most of that contact was into the passenger side door, not as much into the front fenders. And we see going around, I believe that was our lucky dog driver.
Yeah, Catalano. We're trying to get Catalano back to about 3 down, so
Okay.
that's him trying to clear them.
I've also been given some information here courtesy of our YouTube live chat. The problems are going to be a little bit more multiplied if your name is Dalton McKinney, as obviously we've documented out of the race here tonight. Next week, he is going to be on vacation. He will not be here for the Charlotte Roval, so I think safe to say when we get to Auto Club for the 46 to advance his way into the round of 8, it is going to be a must-win situation for Dalton McKinney. So that will make things interesting in a couple of weeks' time here as we continue to progress our way towards the 3rd round of this playoffs.
Cogswell did well on the stage as well. 4th spot for him. Noah Jackson finished P2, so another good stage result for him. Peyton Holland finished 3rd out of that stage. Fortunato, no stage points. Trey Whitehead picked up 6th, and I think Tom Bourne got 9th in the stage as well. So what I'm looking at now is the 4 drivers that are out are Jeff Kleinsma, Rylan Fasciano, Tom Bourne, and Ryan Catalano. And Christian Roos and Brandon Cooper are tied at 4,006 on the way in. So it's real tight for them.
Oof. It's bad enough
So,
when the points are tight, but then when they're tight at a super speedway where every position can not only change every lap, but every corner. So here we go. 3rd and final stage underway. Brock Whitehead has been a lap-leading machine here tonight as control car gets us back under green, pulls right down in front of teammate Noah Jackson. Cogswell will move into 3rd. Peyton Holland to 4th, and Trey Whitehead now has to slot in line in the 5th position right ahead of Christian Roos. So we haven't really talked that much about it here tonight because we've had enough cautions to compensate if necessary, and we've had only 40 lap stages in stage 1 and stage 2. But now, where do we look as far as the fuel window? Because I would assume we can't make it these remaining 85 laps on what we've got in the tank.
I think the big thing is, from here, we've got 90 to go. So based upon what we've seen thus far, I think we're at risk of only getting about sort of 38-ish to 40 laps if we go green. So that says this is still a 2-stop race to get home. So the thing is, it's going to be play it smart. And if we get a caution here in the next 5 or so laps, it's going to dive into pit lane, grab that splash, and then you can probably make it home on 1. So any time after about 5 laps from the end of this stage is a window to sort of try and get home. So that'll be the first targets.
Show you
What about
again.
Brock Whitehead, though?
Yeah, he's been incredible tonight.
Well, I mean, think about it. He's had such... he says, and this is in his words, man, I've had such bad luck. I don't like the 71. It's not my number. I feel really, really unlucky when I drive it. And I tell you what, if he wrecks out now, I'm going to get some filthy messages from him after leading so much of the race here tonight. But basically, Bristol last week being on the right strategy at the right time, and then running so well here tonight as well.
Well, he said last week when we interviewed him in Victory Lane, maybe I've reversed the curse on the 71. Maybe finally now good things are going to start coming my way with this number.
Well, maybe it's time for me to reapply that curse. Commentator's curse. There is nothing stronger than a good commentator's curse.
Oh,
if you
no doubt.
ever want to run well, do not be friendly with the commentators. That's
Nope.
how you get yourself cursed.
Nope. It's gotten to the point in certain leagues where I've had drivers actually message me a couple days before an event and say, please don't talk about me.
You're allowed to talk about them, just not in a positive light.
That's right.
Man,
True.
he's having a
That
great
is true.
night tonight. Yeah. Yes, Brock is having a very average night with an average running order. He's not doing...
It could be better.
Yeah, it could be a lot better.
Most laps led, one stage win.
I wish... No, you've gone too far. You've gone too far.
No, I put an E at the end of it, so...
They've cleaned it up. Everyone's keen to run single file. This is going to a fuel save race. So worthwhile pointing out, fastest laps today, 29.3 from Jeff Kleinsman, but everyone around the 29.4 to 29.5 range. Well, at the moment, we're running around in the 29.9s. So we're, half a second off the pace at this point in time. That's how much everyone's trying to fuel save.
Just to keep track here as well, had a number of drivers that have gotten damaged in some way, shape, or form here tonight. Number of them playoff contenders that have already used their faster pair mulligan. Those drivers right now would include Trey Whitehead, Christian Ruse, Brandon Cooper, Tom Bourne, Alan Dobbs, Jeff Kleinsma. Those are drivers that are on the lead lap. Rylan Faccianato, who's 11 laps down, and Ryan Catalano, who's coming to pit road right now. He just a couple laps ago bypassed Jeffrey Vickery for the 22nd position. And he's coming down to the attention of his crew here. Still has enough laps for him to be able to bypass Williams, Cooper, McKinney, Bell, Gonzalez, and Marr to finish the evening no worse than 16th position. But for those drivers that have already used up their faster pair here tonight, as we've crossed into the second half of this race, to your point, that might be why we've seen the pace kind of back down. We've seen a lot more space between the front and rear bumpers of the respective cars here. Nobody is tandeming, nobody is shoving. Everyone's minding their P's and Q's, realizing that there's still a long ways to go. Whoa! Block Whitehead!
That'll change things.
No caution as of yet. He's going to just kiss the inside wall.
It took a few laps, but we eventually cursed him.
Oh, man. And I don't think there was even any contact from behind. I think that car just got loose, did it? Or was there contact?
No, there was, and it came from Noah Jackson. Oh, he's a fraction loose on exit, which has caused the car to slow down, and then there was the contact. That's Ryan Catalano feeding back off a pit lane.
Let's go back and take a look at it there. The camera shot we had off of 2 couldn't see that contact you were describing there from the 20 to the 71, so we'll try a different camera shot here as 20 comes right up. Yeah, to your point, you can kind of see the 71 starting to get loose, that's scrubbing off speed, and then Noah Jackson not able to get off of him. That little bit of contact there to the inside safer barrier. Not sure how much that's going to affect the aerodynamics or the top speed of the body armor Toyota. But now if you're Brock Whitehead, you don't want everybody to mind their P's and Q's anymore. You want a caution to come out to catch back up.
Yeah, 100%.
So that now moves Brandon Cooper up into the top 5 behind Christian Ruse, Trey Whitehead, Peyton Holland, and Noah Jackson. Got to give an attaboy to Christian Ruse and Tom Bourne. Those two drivers had some issues in the early going. Both had to take on their faster pairs, but they've been able to march their way back up here into the top 5 for Ruse, the top 10 for Tom Bourne. We know Tom Bourne's got speed. He started this race from the pole position, but has had a lot of difficulty keeping it up there at the front, but trying to get up here when it matters the most, when the pay window's starting to open.
I think the big thing for Tom is that he's got no support. When you have a look at the Whitehead Racing crew, they are very, very good on the super speedways because they support each other very well. I don't know that it's supreme at the end of the race. They will certainly race it back for it, but the big thing to start off is that they're all willing to support each other. Tom's not running an ugly race. He's running a race to what he's capable of, but you can just see that he thinks he's capable of more. And he won't be happy with it. He knows that he's quicker. He gets just the right support at the right times. He can run a little bit closer to the front. But at the moment, he's just, for having very little support and very little safety net around him, 6th place isn't terrible. That is actually quite a good. When you're racing individually, it's actually quite a good result. In a group of cars that are all working together, it's very, very difficult. And there'll be a lot of debate, and there always is a lot of debate when you come to leagues and NASCAR in general. Should the entirety of Chevrolet, should the entirety of Toyota, should the entirety of Ford all be working within those manufacturer windows? Realistically, I think the racing's better when you've only got 2-car garages working together. And teams are not allowed to get out there and work with anyone outside of that. What you see on the racetrack in NASCAR is a lot less of that, because it's very difficult with your positions in the race to get together and circulate that. You actually see a lot more working together. What you're going to remember for Whitehead Racing, when I take a look down through the Discord, and I'll talk to you about all the drivers that are in that group. Alan Dobbs, Brandon Cooper, Brock Whitehead, Noah Jackson, Trey Whitehead. So they've got 5 drivers in there, along with the crew chief, a little bit of help coming their way from him. And the thing is, that's 5 drivers all working together that are all reasonable at super speedway racing, and when they work together, they're great at super speedway racing. When you have a look at the Hubcom Motorsports outfit and the group of drivers that are working together, they've got Chris Roos, Jeff Kleinsma, Pat McQuaid, Ryan Catalano, and Tom Bourne. Well, Catalano is having difficulties at the moment. He's got damage in his race car. Jeff Kleinsman's not had a great night here tonight. Roos is actually doing amazingly, sitting up in 4th. And Pat McQuaid has just had a very run-of-the-mill night, back of the field. This is actually a little bit below his standard, to be perfectly honest with you. But he's generally not the best at super speedways. He's just out here trying to keep the car on its wheels and get to the finish. So that's the difference, that having a team all together, and that's 5 drivers versus, a bunch of drivers, one on their own, one on their own, one on their own. That is the difference it makes. When you have 5 drivers working together brilliantly, there's nothing. You're unstoppable. Forget it. It's over. But the problem I'll voice to you, Seth, is how, and I've had this debate, and this is one league. There was another league I ran in a couple of years back that had 10 drivers on a team working together. And when you go to the bigger tracks like Pocono, and then obviously all the super speedways, you can't do anything. I said to that to them at one stage. I said, guys, I can't race you. I'm up here on my own versus 5 of you guys all chained up together. If I poke my nose out, I get ran over. So the best I can possibly hope for is to not lose a spot. And that it's a feel-bad situation, but there is no way to police it. And I said to them, look, I'm going to have to put this to you guys as a good intentions and goodwill thing. I really want to go racing for you guys. I think the races are better when we all race for our own individual prospects and stop supporting teammates each and every time. You see me going for a move, and there's an opportunity for you to advance your position, come down and have a crack with me and race each other a little bit harder. And the racing improved as a result, but the biggest thing is you have to have the right drivers and the right teams to do that, and that's just the current Super Speedway package. That's just my read on it. This is a personal opinion. This is the way I think about things as well. I want no one to take...
It may be your personal opinion, but I am fully on board with it because I've had experience of exactly what you're talking about. There is such a thing as having too many teammates, because obviously everybody has the same agenda to work with each other, but then when you're doing something like that, specifically if you're those few drivers that are at the tail end of a formation, you're the one that's having to play the defense and everything, and it sometimes puts you in a bad situation. I say this, and again, it may be just a personal preference of mine, but in my opinion, if you drive defensive, if you drive almost borderline scared, you are more likely to make mistakes in super speedway racing. 100%. The more aggressive you drive, the more fluent your driving is, and the less mistakes I feel that you make. And I think to that point, when obviously you have the opportunity to work with a teammate, that's one thing. But when you've got 3, 4, 5 teammates up there, I'm with you. Go on your own, because you're then running the chance that you're going to put both yourself and your teammates in a bad spot.
Yeah, and it's just one of those personal things. But this is the internet, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we all come out and we go racing to be social and to be friends and to hang out with our buddies online. So, that's one of the counterpoints. Could you imagine? I mean, they did do it for a few years. NASCAR having the voice comms across everyone. That's just not a thing that happens. Could you imagine what that would be like? And we do get a little bit of that in sim, where drivers are able to talk to each other. But at the same time, the downside of that is that everybody else hears your strategy.
Exactly.
And here's what you're attempting to do. So that there is a there is a benefit and a negative to it at the same time.
We took you through the field there of your top 10. Some drivers have had a solid night up inside the top 10, top 5 all night long. Others have had some adventurous nights here as they're going to get the 92 of Ryan Catalana, put him another lap down. You see the third car in line there, Brock Whitehead. He was just recently reeled in by the leaders and put a lap down, but found a lane in front of his brother Trey Whitehead and currently sits in the free pass position should we get ourselves a caution. As Christian Rue's going to try and help push that 92 of Catalano on the inside
He's trying
line.
to shut Trey Whitehead out. So remember how I was talking about, picking guys that you can work with? That's just one way to shuffle a car to the back. So Whitehead's got no support now. And that means he's going to get shuffled in behind Tom Bourne. He's going to get shuffled in behind Davies, all because he stuck his nose out, and then at the right time, Chris Roos just went, I'm just going to push Catalano back into this hole that's filling here.
So Trey Whitehead, who we saw pick up a victory at the close of the regular season, came into tonight 3 points above the cut line in the 3 seed, now having to battle with Jonathan Cogswell. That's for the 6th position. An update on Ryan Catalana. Been watching him slowly progress his way up on the left side of the screen, our scoring pylon. Just about 8 laps ago, got by Austin Cooper, moved up to P20, and in the next 5 laps, he'll get Dalton McKenney. The next 6 laps, he'll get Mark Gonzalez and Larry Bell, and in the next 7 laps, he will find himself in 16th. Not the night that he wanted, but when you look at what could have been a 23rd place finish, and right now, have him finishing no worse than 16th, you take the small victories, especially with how crucial points and positions are here in the playoff system, as we nearly just had ourselves a wreck with himself and Brock Whitehead.
Yeah. And they're squabbling for it at the moment. And Whitehead wants to stay up here at the pointy end of this pack. And the reason he wants to stay up here is he's just dropped to 1 lap down. He is desperate to just stay with the lead group. Catalano just says, yep, time to bail out.
Nothing to gain with battling the drivers up here. He's just looking to log those laps, pick up those valuable positions that are open to him with the drivers ahead of him that have retired out of this race. When he moves up to 16th, that'll be our 16 remaining drivers, currently 13 of them on the lead lap. This 2025 playoff system here in the Grind Cup Series brought to you by Top It Off Hot Sauce, and you can now get 15% off your entire order if you enter in the code PLAYOFF25, that's capital letters PLAYOFF25, at topitoffsauce.com.
I think Tom Bourne actually might have bought a couple of sauces and sent them my way, all the way out to Australia.
You know what flavors you're getting?
No, I have no clue, but he asked for my address a while back when we were talking about them. Because I was actually so I ended up talking to Ryan Catalano about this. There is actually an Australian distributor for the sauces, but we don't get the deals that you get direct from Top It Off Hot Sauce. So I got to pay for them at full price. So I said, yeah, look, I mean, they're on my, they're in my interest range. I'm definitely looking at them in the future to try and pick them up, but I just don't have the room right now, and I'll pick them up at a later date. And Tom just went, nope, sweet, you're getting them. At least I'm fairly certain. He did ask for my address, and there was no further communication. So it may not be hot sauce that's showing up in the mail.
So I have to ask though, if you do get hot sauce in the mail, if we end up seeing you get another victory here on FRN,
no, I am not doing a shoey of hot. No. I'll give you a shoey, but I'm not giving you that.
Okay. I had to ask the question. My curiosity was piqued. Speaking of Tom Bourne, to see him go into the back here, I'm not sure if he got shuffled out or if he just got a little up the racetrack there and it opened up the door for drivers to move him towards the rear.
No, he intentionally moved up. I think he's trying to save. He recognizes the pace is too high up front. That pace has dropped off into the 30s. Oh, you know what? I just had a message come through from Tom. That's what he was doing. It was not for hot sauce. I can confirm it was not for hot sauce.
Okay.
Apparently, I'm receiving a wedding invitation.
Oh, okay. Maybe there'll be
I
hot
have
sauce
no idea
at
what
the
that's
wedding.
about. Tom Bourne's wedding proudly brought to you by Top It Off Hot Sauce.
There you go.
Marketing opportunities. Marketing opportunities. Oh.
Noah Jackson. I mentioned that there's been drivers that have pretty much the entire night been up here inside of the top 5, top 10. He's been one of those drivers. I don't think he's fallen any further than 9th place so far during the course of the evening. And no, we ended up seeing him finally break
Kleinsman
through.
just got loose. Sorry, keep going. Sorry, my apologies.
Nope,
Kleinsman just had a
nope, you're
huge
good.
moment. Sorry.
But
I was on a
we ended
replay. My apologies.
We ended up seeing Noah Jackson finally break through and get that victory during the course of the regular season. Outside of that win, he was super consistent in all the other races. Mentioned finished 2nd in the overall standings. Coming into tonight, no bonus points from the first round of the playoffs for driver number 20. He's been solid in the stage points games here tonight, and right now out in front. We talk about it from the start of this race, and we'll probably talk about it up until the white flag. You win tonight as a playoff driver, you're locked into the next round. And you mentioned about, drivers that are comfortable at the road courses. Okay, you don't win tonight, you got next week at the Charlotte Roval to be able to build off of a decent finish here this season. But if you're a driver that just does not have any confidence at a road course, tonight you might be looking at this race as a must-win situation, so that way you cover all your bases depending on what happens next week in Charlotte.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, is getting to that point. Confirmation there will be hot sauce at the wedding.
Okay.
And you may need to talk to Tom immediately after this race. Tom is messaging me whilst driving a race car, by the way, at 200 mile an hour. So
I've known drivers that do that. I don't know how they manage to do such a thing.
No, me neither. Me neither. I couldn't do it. I suppose it's practice. You mess it up the first few times you do it, and the more often you do it.
I remember there was a driver, a race that I believe was a part of it at Pocono, and we were under caution. We were making our way, forming our way up under the pacing lap, and car plowed the field from about 6-7 cars back. And said, "I'm sorry, guys, I was texting." So some have the talent for it, some don't.
Have a look at the gaps that are starting to form between everyone. Remember how we were talking about how the pace had fallen off? And everyone was in the fuel save game? Well, the pace has fallen off another half a second.
So
Noah Jackson's out of fuel. As is Peyton Holland. We're about to see pit stops.
Oh, wow. Okay. Again, we mentioned that's the commitment line there.
They're short.
Pit road does not start. Pit road speed does not start until you come around here to the line off of turn 4. But you do have to be below that orange box on that yellow line in the entrance of turn 3. Right there is where pit road speed starts.
Yeah. But you got to be in way early. There's so many cars coming to the pit lane this time. I think you're going to see the bulk of the field. But the critical thing is that right now we are at the conclusion of this lap. I believe we are 44 laps to home.
We're right on it.
So if you go 44 on this run, you're in the window.
Mm-hmm. Barely.
Just. And that's why you're seeing this is for the fans that are watching along at home. This has gotten real snoozy. Roozers were way up the racetrack.
I think he just gave up the lead on purpose, actually.
Yeah, he can't lead. Yeah. So the big thing now is for that group of cars, and a lot of them are Whitehead racing cars, the best thing that they can do is rip around and run the peak pace and give up the fuel saving game. And the reason I say to do that is because you've basically got to force that other pack to make bad decisions. Constantly put them in a situation where they don't have a good decision. That's sort of the game that they're playing now.
The one thing I kind of liked about those drivers who saw hit pit road as well was there wasn't a whole gaggle of them. Because if you end up having a massive amount of drivers, 6, 7, 8 drivers that are all trying to whoa up and get to that commitment line there in the entrance of turn 3, that could leave the door open for driver error and lead to a potential wreck. You come down with maybe 3 or 4 drivers, you've got a better chance of everybody being able to get onto pit road safely. And it's kind of weird too, in super speedway racing, sometimes you'll see a car or a pack with less cars produce more speed than a pack with more cars.
So interestingly enough, I've just been keeping an eye on pace. Jonathan Cogswell just ran a 30.7. So peak pace, remember we're talking about it's 29.5s, 29.3s to 5s, basically in there. A 3 is basically backing up to, oh, there's nearly a wreck off a 4. It was Peyton Holland who nearly went around. That's going to break up that pack's pace even more. So the big thing is, that pack that pit are running the same times as that huge pack that were fuel saving.
Wow.
So they're not gaining any time now. They need more cars in there that are also committed to not making it. That whole group will make it.
See where Noah Jackson cycles around to. Everybody else came down pit road there. Just a lap ago. Looks like most have left their pit stalls here, but I think Noah Jackson is going to maybe cycle out to the race lead. We're looking for the 16 of Tom Bourne.
That pack got super broken up in that pit stop. And I think Tom Bourne, Brendan Cooper got a black flag, so that would be too fast entering.
So he's going to have an extended stay on pit road. He's going to go a lap down right here, so not exactly the good situation there for a driver that came in the 4th seed, only 1 point above the cut line.
Speed is 72 Ks. Yeah, he was a good 10 mile an hour over at the line, so definitely speeding.
So now if you're Noah Jackson and Peyton Holland and Matt Davies, is there any options available to you to be able to make it the rest of the way, or is your bed basically made? You got to go all out here and hope that maybe a caution comes out in these final 39 laps to get you that little bit of fuel that you're lacking, because you know everybody else, for the most part, they're going to be able to hold it wide open from this point on.
Yeah, and I think critically, Alan Dobbs is in this really tough situation where I think he might have just barely reconnected with that lead pack. But he's had to run very hard to do that. Christian Roos, Tom Bourne, Pat McQuaid have all regrouped, but they have to run hard or they have to run really, really slow. There's sort of nothing that's going to save them there, and somebody in that group will not make it on fuel.
One good thing, I think, for this group, I was noticing there when Dobbs caught up, there was a lot of checkup in that lead pack. So if these 3 don't have a lot of checkup in their trio, they might be able to close up that gap. Right now, a little over 5 seconds, and keeping an eye on the scoring here, it looks like that gap is continuing to shrink as we speak. So they may not be out of this yet, depending on what happens in the lead group.
Yeah, potentially. By the way, keeping an eye on Catalano, he is now up to 16th. So he can no longer gain spots without further wrecks, basically. Facinato is still out there and running on his own at this point in time.
Up to 12 playoff drivers that advanced into this round. 3 of them are off the lead lap. 1 of them is out of the race. More than likely, those 4 drivers, being Cooper, Facinato, Catalano, and McKenney, will probably be the 4 below the cut line heading into next week, when we'll be in Concord, North Carolina at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, but we'll be running both the Speedway and the infield section, as it will be our final road course stop of the season. It's the only road course in the playoffs, as we'll be at the Charlotte Roval next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on FRN, and we may be talking about a driver going into that race that's already locked into the round of 8, depending on how this one plays out tonight at the Atlanta Superspeedway.
So, worthwhile noting from the lead group, the front 3, Jackson, Davies, Peyton Holland, cannot make it on fuel. There's nothing that they can do. And Brock Whitehead's in the middle of that. He also can't make it on fuel, even though he's now a lap down. So, the best, if they sit back and run a slow pace race, nothing happens. They lose every day of the week. They have to try and force everybody else to run to their speed. Because if they back the pace up and they keep backing the pace up, that just plays in everyone else's hands. They will finish all off the lead lap because they will have to come back down for a splash. So it is in their best interest to run this as hard as physically possible. Because then the rest of the cars behind you sort of have a decision to make. Like the fact that they're hanging around and they're not actually pressing on with this one is actually, it's just making it worse and worse and worse. So maximum fuel distance with heavy saving is 47 laps from that big group that pit. They only have 40 to do on this stint. So you know what? They're comfortable on fuel no matter what. They are gold. The lead section went 43 laps, which wasn't all on the green. There was some pacing in that because remember the stage. So I think 40 laps at green flag is doable. You know what? That lead group's... You know what? I actually take all of that back. That lead group actually don't want to run as physically as hard as they possibly can. They pit at the end of 125, coming to 126. That is 46 laps to go. Based upon the pace of that second group and what they did in that first run, you can make that home. But that means that the pace of this lead pack has got to drop off to a 30.8, I would say. And we're still running half a second faster than that. So we're running... The leaders are too fast. Jackson is doing too much leading and not enough following. He won't make it unless he starts to back everyone up. And I think everybody else at this point in time is just going, well, they're not going to make it. Let's not give them... Because if, you know, effectively everyone switches around and comes and takes the lead, all of a sudden that group of drivers can all make it. You sort of want to get it down to about 10 to go, and then at 10 to go, you sort of say to them, all right, now we're going to lead. You can't save enough fuel in 10 laps. You've got to save the whole run to make it, basically. So Noah Jackson, I would already put a line through Noah Jackson. He's not going to win this without a caution.
Talk about backing it down, just kind of put it into perspective for everybody that's watching right now. The median right now, 30.5, 30.6 for these drivers up in this lead pack. The fastest lap put down so far here tonight was by Mark Gonzalez, 29.350. We are running over a full second slower than that at a super speedway. And just checking in there on that second group of Tom Bourne, Christian Roos, Patrick McQuaid, they were 5 seconds back. They had then cut it down to 3.5 seconds, but they've lost some ground here in the last couple of laps. It's now grown to 4.3. So I don't know if it's a case of they've had to back their pace down now as well to make sure they can make it on fuel, and that's losing them touch with this lead group, or if this lead group has decided to pick it up a little bit.
I think they have picked it up. They picked it up fractionally, like 1 or 2 tenths. Additionally, he's just got a message in as well from Chris Reese. He got caught speeding on the pit lane entry as well. So his days effectively, he's going to finish at 2 laps down, again, without assistance. So
we saw him get swallowed up here under green flag conditions. Reese, a former super speedway winner in the opener at Daytona, right now in the 14th position. We've got 10 drivers on the lead lap right now. Patrick McQuaid, the last of those. Brock Whitehead, currently second car in line, would handily be in the free pass position should we get a caution that he's not involved in, as there's 16.5 seconds back to his nearest competitor in Brandon Cooper.
Yeah. And just keeping an eye on that speed again. Just sort of going on board. I think you got to keep more of an eye on Tom Bourne and what he's running at the moment. Probably because I think Christian Roos is trying to push him, but he just can't stay as connected as he would have liked. I think the tires are starting to wear in that group as well. So that's the pack, and you can just see how tantalizingly close it is. It's under 3 seconds down the road. That's how tantalizingly close it is.
Is there like a target distance you're looking at between your car and that tail end car of the pack that you know you're going to be in the slipstream, be able to get the toe with the draft?
Not really. But the big thing, it's sort of about a second, 1.2 seconds. You get a whisper of it. 1 second, you get the full hit of the draft. So you sort of got to get there. If you're not gaining momentum, generally, if you're a single car getting cut out. By the way, single cars at Daytona and Talladega can get cut out of packs. and it's effectively is just getting side draft. If you're not building momentum when you get to 6/10 back off the car ahead, you will fall out without assistance. If you're getting side drafted at 4/10 back off the car ahead of you, you are at risk and you need help. So generally, if you fall to 4/10 and there's a car side drafting you and pulling you back, you got to lift and just let him go, and then start trying to help him rebuild momentum to stay in the pack. A lot of rookies don't know that. Every Daytona 500 that rolls around at the start of every year, because that's how much do you know about iRacing and the official log is, Seth?
Not very much.
Okay, so iRacing try and run 4 to 5 full-length NASCAR races a year. Generally, Daytona 500, Southern 500, Bristol's been on the calendar the last couple of years, but they mix it up. It's generally the Southern 500 and Daytona 500, and then generally the season ender as well. So Phoenix has obviously had that opportunity the last couple of years, which I'm so keen to see it go back to Miami next year. Homestead Miami is a brilliant racetrack. We love that place. And then one more scattered throughout the year. Coke 600 as well. All full-length races. So I was going somewhere with that. Daytona 500, right. Generally what happens is everyone sees the Daytona 500 and the Australian community in big. This is what I hear from all my buddies. Oh, it's just going fast and turning left. It's very easy. No, buddy, it's not.
Nope.
So what happens, you see a lot of rookies get up side by side with each other just going, oh, I'm going racing. And all of a sudden they lose the draft because they don't understand what side draft is and what you're actually doing to manipulate the air. So a very, very common thing to see at the start of a Daytona 500, particularly if it goes green for 50 laps or so, you'll lose 15 to 20 cars out of the lead pack because they don't know what they're doing. But it is not as simple as just jump in, put throttle to the floor. Particularly this run here, we've seen fuel management has been critical on this run. So fuel management's, feathering the throttle, not being fully in the gas. If you're 100% fuel, 100% throttle all the way around the track, you're burning. But also when you're in the pack, you can't be at 100% throttle. Like if you're leading the pack, you are 100% gas all the time. There's no way for you to really save as the leader. You just get eaten alive. And if you're in the middle of the pack, well, you can't touch the guy ahead of you. So you're feathering the throttle to try and... You're generally somewhere between about a 60%, a bad checkup, you get all the way down and completely out of the gas. And you may touch the brake in a really, really bad one. But somewhere between about generally 60% and 100% throttle. And you got to have good dynamic throttle pressure and know what to do with your right foot in that range. So I think the pace of the lead pack's come up again because the last 2 laps have just run about 2/10 faster.
Yeah,
which means that the fuel saving games are over.
I'm also noticing a number of drivers in this pack. Matt Davies a couple of laps ago, Trey Whitehead the lap prior to that, really pushing up there on the entry to the corners. You mentioned about the tires wearing down. It looks like that grip, that handling starting to go away for a number of these drivers. There you see again the 32 kind of riding up the racetrack there, putting those right sides just on the outside of that first set of white hash marks.
That second pack of 3 cars is actually starting to make gains again. So they ran very quick for 2 laps there, and then they backed the pace back down to 30.5. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's over yet. We've got about 17 to go this time by. So it's not over yet in terms of speed. In fact, this lap's going to be even slower. No, 30.4s. Okay, so it was actually not too bad.
We're only gaining about maybe a 10th to a 10th and a half here, though. And with the amount of distance between them and the rest of the field, I'm not sure 17 laps is enough time to be able to catch. Now, granted, if we end up having a number of these drivers up in the front run out of fuel, and if they can make it, then obviously those are positions they'll be able to make up. But with this continuing to trend green and the distance they still have to cover with the amount of time that they've got left, I don't think outside of the aid of a caution they've got enough laps.
You're talking about that second group?
Well,
they just gained. Yeah. They actually just made some gains because Faccinato just sort of helped them out.
So if you're the leader, Noah Jackson, obviously we know that the 32 and the 19, they can't make it on fuel either. But with using up more fuel as the race leader, if you're Noah Jackson, what are you looking at here of praying the caution comes out prior to, like, is it going to be down at less than 5 to go, or are we going to have to see him on pit road prior to that?
It's going to be about 5 to go, I reckon. So he's in a little bit of trouble.
So
In
look
fact,
at the
I
drivers
just
right
don't
now
see him making it.
that could make it. That puts Trey Whitehead currently in the catbird seat in the 4th position. Was on pit road 4 laps later than the top 3 lead lap cars in front of him. Jeffrey Kleinsma is right behind him in 5th. Jonathan Cogswell in 6th, with Alan Dobbs in 7th. So it might come down between that quartet to try and pick up this first victory of the round of 12 and lock themselves into the round of 8.
When you say that, the margin to that lead pack has closed significantly. Probably time to go for a little bit more of an onboard with Tom Bourne at the lead of that second pack, because he's starting to make gains. The margin to the next car, which is Chris Reese at the back end of that pack, is in a 1.6. Remember this a couple laps ago when we looked at it, what, 10, 15 laps ago? They were sailing off through turn 3 when he got there.
Yep.
They were already halfway around that corner. The margin's down to 1.5. He's still gaining. That lead pack, the pace has come back out of it. No, the pace in the second pack has actually come up significantly. They're down to running 30.1s. So I think their fuel saving's done, and they are pressing on. But you know what? The difference is Rylan Facinato's just joined that pack. That's
right.
What the difference is.
That changed it huge for this group. And it's now 1.7 seconds from the front bumper of Tom Bourne to the rear bumper of Christopher Reese in that 62, the trailing car of that lead pack.
They are going to get there. And there's still fuel games being played. I think Jackson, so the pace has definitely come up again. It was seeing swap back and forth. About half a tenth on that lap. Not a huge deal, but just enough. I think they're starting to get the whispers of the draft, because it's getting more and more difficult for Christian Ruse to get to Tom Bourne and push him as hard. But just that 4th car has just accelerated that pack, and actually Facinato's struggling to hang on to them now.
With the top 3 not being able to make it, how soon do we start getting racy here? Well, I guess that answers the question as Kleinsma gets to the left rear quarter panel of Trey White. And I was going to say, this could proverbial be the race for the win. 3rd place on back. We'll make that 4th place on back.
Well, guess what? Bourne and Ruse and McQuaid are now in. With that move and the moving around, they're now picking up draft. Here it comes. It's going to get aggressive. There'll be 9 to go.
Trey Whitehead going to, with the help of Alan Dobbs, they're going to go to the point, potentially here, around the outside. Cogswell going to follow them up there. That did not work out for Jeffrey Kleinsma. He got boxed in behind the 19, and he's going to drop from what was going to be potentially a battle for the lead, now back to the 4th position. And now there's Tom Bourne, as you mentioned. Here he comes.
Yeah.
Ruse and McQuaid right there with him. All 10 of your lead lap cars are now in the lead pack with 8 to go.
Yeah, this now becomes a game of high-speed chicken. Who's got the fuel? Patrick McQuaid hasn't had to lead any laps from that group. It was Tom Bourne and Christian Ruse, so they may have a little bit of gas to save. Facinato got dragged back into this group with them. So I think it's 12 cars that are in this group. There's another pack of 3 cars that are still circulating at the moment as well.
We know Brock Whitehead
Brandon
can't
Cooper,
make it on fuel, but Chris Reese up here. You mentioned Rylan Facinado. They could be proverbial X factors, some drafting help for somebody that might need it, trying to work their way up through to the top position. An eye on the 20 of Noah Jackson, 3rd car in line there. We know he can't make it on fuel. Trey Whitehead now out in front, trying to lock himself into the round of 8. Be the first playoff driver to do so. Here comes that top side. Chevrolet's lining up there. Kleinsma trying to lead the charge. He's got McQuaid, Bourne, and Ruse up there with him.
Yeah, now they're trying to make some speed. Brock Whitehead's shuffled his way a little bit further back. I think Brandon Cooper's tight on fuel.
Cooper running by himself right now, and he was on pit road 2 laps before drivers like Noah Jackson was on pit road. Here he comes. Yep.
Jackson's pitting. Yeah, so he's out of this one. Brock Whitehead's in trouble.
Same for Peyton Holland and Matt Davies. Question is, were they able to save 5 laps of fuel? They didn't lead nearly as much the latter portion of this run as Noah Jackson did. They ran in second and third for a majority of it. Could they have saved enough?
Peyton Holland just said, I am good on fuel. So he's good to go racing. The critical thing is Trey's leading. You know, it's none of those cars that have still got fuel question marks that they've got to clear.
Your top 5 are all playoff drivers. All could lock themselves into the round of 8 with a victory tonight.
So I think it was Matt Davies, Brandon Cooper, Noah Jackson, and Peyton Holland were the 4 that come early, I believe. And Davies is no longer in it. He went for a spin and a ride through pit lane a couple laps ago. Cooper's in the pits. Jackson's pits. I think out of that group, Peyton Holland's the only one who's going to make it.
I think you're correct. Maybe to the lap car of Brock Whitehead. He was with that group as well.
That's the other car. That's correct.
2 laps to go. 3 miles in regulation to sort it out. That outside line have not been able to make up enough time. They've only gotten Kleinsman alongside of Peyton Holland for 4th. Cogswell right now holds the 3rd spot. Dobbs currently behind Trey Whitehead. Couple of teammates there as Dobbs shades up a little bit, trying to look to that right rear quarter panel. Might have been trying to fake out to get a lane to the inside, but Trey Whitehead covers it. White flag. 1 lap to go here from Atlanta.
Here comes Tom Bourne. He just sent it down the inside. Whitehead's going up to block the outside lane. Dobbs has got the inside. Peyton Holland's going to run. And I think he wants to show the nose. I think he wants to be aggressive with it.
Comes down to who's going to get the pushes here. Whitehead on the top. Dobbs on the bottom. Through 3 and 4.
Dobbs has got no support.
No,
he's too far out in front.
Trey Whitehead has got Peyton Holland all over his back bumper. That's going to get him to the line first. Trey Whitehead will get his 2nd win of the season, his 1st win of the playoffs, and he has locked himself into the round of 8 here for the 2025 season. Peyton
Man, what a
Holland's
race to the
going
flag.
to be 2nd, Dobbs will cross in 3rd. And it was the shove, the commitment out of 4 from Peyton Holland that was the difference maker to get Trey Whitehead to the line first. We had 24 drivers take the green flag here tonight. Trey Whitehead was as far down as 21st this evening and made his way up to win this race.
Yeah. Yeah, big race, big run back, and I think Trey was over the moon.
Well, how about that? You go into the Charlotte Roval next week. Auto Club in 2 weeks' time. Worry-free. You know you are locked into the following round of the 2025 playoffs as Trey Whitehead gets to burn it down here tonight at the Atlanta Superspeedway. Toyota
Great
going to
job from
sweep
Trey
the
Whitehead.
podium here tonight as well.
Just think about how critical it is. Think about how critical it was that you got your fuel done in that first half of that 2nd session. Think about that. All the drivers that did had great runs to the flag. All the drivers that were short and played for track position did not. And you know, Peyton Holland was the only driver out of that group that came to the pits early that actually benefited from it. Every other driver that ran there did worse off. So it was just a fuel race to the line.
We've seen a couple of fuel races this season, but I believe this is the first one that we've seen at a super speedway configuration. And boy, it was tight around that cut line at the conclusion of stage 1, the conclusion of stage 2. I can only imagine what it's going to look like now as we get ourselves ready for the Charlotte Roval next week. As there you see 78 1,000ths was the difference of just the top 3 crossing the line there, with Trey Whitehead, Peyton Holland, and Alan Dobbs. 1 week removed from that great run to advance into this next round of the playoffs. Peyton Holland follows it up with another top 3 finish. Jeff Kleinsma, what a comeback finish for him. He was one of the drivers involved in the first caution of the night. Nose first into the inside wall going into turn 3 on lap number 2. And he's going to bring it home with a 4th place run. Jonathan Cogswell, we were talking about him around that cut line for most of the night. Got stage points in both stages. Top 5 here in the finishing results this evening. Christian Ruse and Tom Bourne, they had their troubles tonight. Good comeback runs for them in 6th and 7th. Patrick McQuaid going to finish in 8th. Matt Davies in 9th. And despite the fact he ends up finishing a lap down, Brock Whitehead, who had a really strong car tonight, picked up a stage victory at the end of stage 2, going to bring it home in the 10th position. And then we start talking about drivers that might find themselves just above or just below that playoff cut line. Noah Jackson, strong run tonight, but had the fuel run dry on him in the closing stages. He'll end up 11th. Brandon Cooper, who had the pit road speeding penalty, 14th. Rylan Faccianato, multiple laps down in 15th. We've documented Ryan Catalano all night long, having his issues, but 16th, a heck of a lot better than 23rd. And then Dalton McKenney, we already know, is going to be pretty much in a must-win situation in a couple of weeks, as he'll be missing next week at the Charlotte Roval, 20th here tonight with the DNF, so he will have to win at Auto Club in a couple of weeks in order to advance into the round of 8. So there you see the remainder of the drivers that did not reach the conclusion of this race here this evening. But boy, I don't think that I had a fuel strategy race on the agenda here tonight in terms of super speedway racing. We talk about, right place, right time, having drafting help. We saw a little bit of that here, obviously, in the closing stages, but did not think it was going to be as razor's edge on fuel strategy as it ultimately ended up being.
Yeah. And look, it's tough, it's tight. I did not expect that one to go down the wire as much as it did as well. It's, the thing is, it's get yourself to the end and give yourself every opportunity. For the guys that are watching along at home, what you've got to remember is that what they've done by the drivers basically is they've said, okay, we do have to save some fuel. We can't just push all out from the start of the second half of that race. We have to save some fuel, but the fuel we have to save is less, which means they can push earlier. And you saw that. The guys that still needed to save fuel, they were saving deep into that one. Holland was saving up until about 5 to go. And at 5 to go, he just barely had enough.
Well, we're going to be talking with him here in just a moment as he brings it home solidly on the podium, 1 week removed from advancing his way into this round of 12. Let's see if we can dial up driver number 19.
He's not available at the moment, so if we can just grab Trey first.
Okay.
I think he's actually just had to run off to the restroom.
Not a problem. Not a problem. All right, we will leapfrog him. We'll come back to him here. Call of nature has to be adhered to. Let's see if we can dial up our race winner here tonight. 2-time winner on the season, Trey Whitehead. Hey, Trey, it's Seth and Scott up here in the FRN booth. You got us?
Yes, I got you. Let's go.
I can hear the sigh of relief right there. Obviously, there's some elation involved as well. Tough night here in the early going. We saw you have to pass a lot of cars to be able to make your way up to the front, but the fuel numbers work out. You get up to the front at the right place, right time. You have the drafting help there out of turn 4. Congratulations, you've locked yourself into the round of 8.
Yeah, it's a round I was more so looking forward to for the latter 2 races, not necessarily for this one. So to get it done here is pretty cool, and just try to be able to lather on the playoff points in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, we had that early contact with Netcode with Tom Bourne, and I just had to sacrifice stage points at that point just to be able to get to the end of the race and focus on that. And yeah, never really got a chance to get any stage points, I don't think. Maybe my memory serves me wrong, but yeah, the number on fuel served us really well. I was able to save fuel, and I pride myself on pit road, and especially under green, we were able to hit our marks and be really aggressive and not speed. I saw Brandon, he had a speeding penalty and just barely latched on to the guys that pit a few laps before us, and was able to save some fuel, so we had a little buffer, and then we started pushing, and it was going to come down to the wire. I just really was hoping for a top 5 finish, and coming out here with a win. I've got to credit Peyton first off, because he could have just went 3 wide, and he didn't. He stuck it with me and pushed me past Dobbs there on the final lap. So that was a lot of fun, super fun.
I think it's a little bit more than that, brother. I think coming off a 3 and 4 there, he could have probably put it 3 wide, and he never would have advanced position. So I think he read that one and said, "Look, my only way to progress and pick up a P2 is probably to shove you through." But tricky race. I mean, you guys have the benefit down in the Whitehead Discord chat, and we actually talked about that at one point throughout the race as well. But you knew that Jackson was going to be short on fuel. You probably knew Brendan Cooper was going to be a little bit short on fuel, and a whole bunch of the other guys there as well. Was there some frustration with that? Was there a little bit of, oh no, what have I done to myself? What was the race talk about fuel getting through that race?
Yeah, Noah was definitely frustrated. He just he was not able to save the fuel we were, because he ran up front for most of that first stint in stage 3, and we were talking about it, seeing when everybody's going to be able to pit, and he just was adamant, like he made his bed, he's going to have to lay in it, and he did. He drove it really well. Brock was kind of trying to be able to be that buffer behind him to help him use a little less fuel, but still couldn't get him there. And Brock had his spin out, which was unfortunate for him as well, because they were both probably the 2 best cars all night. And for them not to get the finishes they deserved, it really sucks for them. Yeah, like I said, me and Dobbs and Brandon, if he didn't speed, we were on the number with the fuel. I mean, like I said, we were saving in the second stint, just in case, like a green-white checkered or something. And then, yeah, when Noah was leading, I think there was some frustration growing between Dobbs and I. We needed to kind of get going, because we could see that second pack was starting to catch up. And, yeah, we made that move to the outside, and we were able to get to the lead and never look back. So a lot of fun. I really enjoy fuel racing when it comes down to that. When you get an opportunity to save the fuel necessary, and it showed tonight what we're capable of. So,
hey, can we back up earlier in the season when I was absolutely blitzing you guys in fuel races? Were you enjoying fuel saving that?
Well, that's why I'm a little happy you're up here in the broadcast booth with a headset on. We'll take the wins, with like that where we can get them. So it definitely helps us when you're not on track.
I mean, Trey, obviously, you're locked into the round of 8, but we talked about the fact that, even from the transition of the first round into the second round, drivers that had a decent first round were able to get stage points, were able to get race wins. They carried those bonus points in, but not by much. I mean, even the number 1 seed coming into this round of 12, Alan Dobbs, he was only 7 points ahead of the cut line. Now, you could check off the box that you're locked into the next round, but now with the Charlotte Roval and Auto Club, just how much more aggressive does this allow you to be able to continue to rack up those playoff points and give yourself some type of a cushion when we eventually get to starting that round of 8 at Phoenix?
Yeah, I think Auto Club, the first race I was able to join back when I first started back in the league. I think it was a couple races in. That was where our money shifted and just kind of ruined my whole race there. Really fast there. I enjoy it, but I look at the Charlotte Roval as an opportunity to possibly win both stages and win the race. Like, I know Alan is really competitive at road courses as well, and Sprinkle and Tom Bourne, like, it's not going to be easy. But I've done it before, and I don't see why we can't continue to do that. And that's just confidence built up from, the years of doing iRacing and stuff like that. So really excited to get there and just maximize, like I was talking about, the playoff points that we can get, because, yeah, that restructure of now only your playoff points earned during the playoffs will carry with you, and you don't get that regular season buffer that you might have built up through the whole season. It makes things really close. And I think Noah is definitely a little nervous because of the hole that he's going to be in, and we're going to do our damnedest to try to drag him out of it and get us all into the next round. So we'll see how it goes, but playoff points are definitely one of the bigger benefactors of this round and next round as well. So.
Well, Trey, congratulations on picking up the checkered flag here tonight in the Red Line 200. You've locked yourself into the round of 8, your second win on the season, your first race here of the playoffs. We'll let you get back to your celebrating here as you now make preparations for the round of 8 in a couple weeks' time. But before we do, we're going to hand it over to you for some victory lane. Thank you, sponsors and shout-outs.
Yeah, obviously we brought out the new scheme tonight. I guess we brought out that black mama, a little bit of Kobe Bryant at the buzzer, and got another W. So might run it next week. We'll see. It looked pretty good under the lights. And obviously everybody at Whitehead Racing, my dad, even though he's not racing with us, he's in the group chats with us, hyping us up. Even sent us all messages wishing us luck before the race. So Hubcup for putting the league on, all the admins, Bruce especially did a lot with the race control stuff, and Scott as well. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. And I'm going to go back and watch this a million times. I always do, even when I don't win. But when I do win, it makes it even better to watch. So, yeah, just appreciate you guys for grinding and putting up the broadcast like you do week in and week out. And we'll hit the drawing board and try to see what we can come up next week.
On that note, I actually really want to take this opportunity to thank Trey, because Trey's actually doing our spreadsheets and
Yes.
handling things for putting the playoffs together. So a really good opportunity for you to say thank you to stepping up and filling that hole, Trey. Really appreciate it, brother. And check your DMs. You don't have to go back through the stages tonight. I did the work for you. Nice and easy. Just plug them in.
I just saw them come up, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, I enjoy doing stuff like that with stats and everything. So there's a little birdie going around that says I might end up doing that full time next year. We'll just see how this year goes with the playoffs and where we finish. So if we can get to the championship 4, I don't have to win it. Maybe that's the sign to do it full time next year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I appreciate you for handling that for me as well, and we'll get it done. See how it looks.
Well, it makes our job a heck of a lot easier of trying to figure stuff out as the points continually shift, especially with the super speedway race that we had here tonight. So yeah, we definitely appreciate that, Trey. Congratulations on your victory here tonight. Best of luck here in these upcoming 2 races. You get yourself geared up and ready for the round of 8.
Yes, sir. See y'all next week.
Trey Whitehead with the victory here tonight. We should now be able to dial up the second place finisher, the guy that pushed him across the line to the win. Let's get a hold of Peyton Holland. Hey Peyton, it's Scott and Seth up here in the FRM booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Man, I'll tell you what, last week, under the lights at Bristol, Scott and I both agreed it was the race of the year for you. You racked up stage points. You got yourself comfortably here into this round of 12. No let up in the momentum of this 19 here tonight. You bring it home solidly in the second position. It seems like you are firing on all cylinders. What little more could you maybe have done there on that final lap to have the nose of this Toyota crossing the line first? Or was it basically, in order to help myself, I got to help the line I'm in?
I mean, really, I felt like the only way I could have won that one is if I just dumped him. So, and I didn't want to do that. Trey's a great racer. And so, no, I had the momentum. I pushed him. I had great help from the 15 behind me, and it just worked out. Happened to get Dobbs at the end, right at the line, get second. But I'm just happy with the points I got. Definitely need it coming into the Roval next week. So, yeah, I don't know if I could have done anything different, but I think I made the right move.
I think the big thing here tonight, man, is we actually documented. I went back and watched it last week. You're in a situation where you needed bulk stage points to progress. That was the only way you were digging yourself out of the hole. 4th and 3rd in the stages last week. Then you step it up, and go back to back. You've got an average finish in the last 2 weeks of 3.5 in the stages. That's critical. And then for tonight, I think this is a really, really cool stat, by the way. 4th in stage 1, 3rd in stage 2, 2nd to finish. What is it in the last 2 weeks that's just switched on for you?
Well, my mindset last week was for sure stage points. I was down, I think 7, and I felt like in my mind the only way I could even advance was stage points. So I know last week I'd short pit the stage to make sure I'd have the tires for the end. And today I was really worried of it being a wreck fest. So I told Davies, I was like, man, I got to stay up front. And luckily I had a great qualifying P2, and I just stayed there, man. I think my biggest thing was I wanted the inside line off the restarts. And luckily, Brock and whoever his teammate was up there had great restarts, and I could just go with them. So I could keep my position throughout the whole race, and it worked out at the end.
A big thing that we documented as well was there were a group of 4 that came to pit road, started that cycle of green flag pit stops. You were one of those 4 drivers. All those drivers that were part of that group, they couldn't make it on fuel. You were able to save a crucial 5 laps during the course of that run. At what point did you know you had enough to be able to get to the end, and just how were you able to save that amount of fuel in what seemed like a rather short amount of time?
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if y'all caught this on the broadcast, but I actually was leading that pack coming out and then spun onto the apron, saved it, got behind Davies, And so that actually saved me. Almost spinning out and ruining my race saved me that. And so I actually was a lap to the good about probably 15 to go. I don't know how I did it. I think Jackson was saving leading, which allowed me to save even more. But I mean, I was probably coasting 75% throttle that whole last 30 laps. So I don't know how I did it. I hate it for Davies. Davey was probably in the good too, but he spun on the front stretch. But I know I don't know how I did it. I couldn't even tell you.
Wow, yeah, we definitely did not see that incident you're talking about there, that spin on the apron. So that makes it even more impressive that you were able to not only save the fuel to get to the end, but bring it home solidly in the podium position. I want to just quickly touch on here as well. You mentioned it sounds like maybe a little bit of worries going into the Roval next week. Obviously, usually when we end up having a 3-race round playoff system, there's always usually that one mitigating track that a driver looks at and says, ooh, I need the other 2 races to be good because I'm not so sure about the outcome of that one. So it sounds like the Charlotte Roval would be that track for you. So with what you were able to do here tonight, does that help to alleviate some of the pressure going into your expectations next week?
Oh yeah, for sure. I had Atlanta and an auto club circled. I mean, I have to execute those, and luckily I executed tonight. And I'm really hoping nobody shows up next week. That's about my safest bet. I know I did good at the Glen, but I mean that's Watkins Glen, man. Everybody can do that track. So I don't even think I've ever raced the Roval on iRacing. So that's gonna be fun. I'm gonna have to put a lot of practice in, and maybe I can sneak in a top 10 and just be safe, and then go into auto club and execute there.
Well, Peyton, congratulations on the solid run here tonight to begin this round of 12. Great run-up finish, and as you mentioned, up front all night long. We'll give you now the opportunity for some thank you sponsors and shout-outs.
I'd love to thank Redline Racing Network. They gave me a great sponsor. We were all fast, all of us up there. Thank you, Metler, for giving me opportunity to have that. Thanks for Hubka for making the beautiful car. I'm glad I got to put it on the podium. Thanks to Davies. Me and Davies worked good all night. Great teammate. Hate that he couldn't finish it, but yeah, I think that wraps up my thank yous.
Well, Peyton Holland brings it home second place here tonight under the lights at the Atlanta Super Speedway. He'll look to build off this next week in the middle race of this round of 12 when we head to the Charlotte Roval. Congratulations on the solid overall evening you had here tonight, and best of luck next week, the next couple of weeks here as you look to advance your way into the round of 8.
Thank y'all.
Peyton Holland tying his best finish of the season, had a runner-up finish back at the Charlotte Motor Speedway at the beginning of July, but an important run for him here tonight, and obviously for some other drivers as well, like Kleinsma, Cogswell, Ruse. These are drivers that, again, we mentioned there were 8 drivers that were all tied with 4,000 points apiece. Some were able to get stage points, some weren't, but you look at the fact that we ended up having, I think it was your entire top 8 were all playoff contenders coming into tonight. That's huge for those drivers particularly, because that would put them more than likely the drivers above the cut line being able to play defense going to the Charlotte Roval next week. The drivers that ran into trouble here tonight, finished multiple laps down, finished out of the race, they're going to have to play catch up.
Well, I'm just taking a quick look at the points, and we're going to have to get this confirmed by Trey once he does his spreadsheeting work as well. But I've got my points showing currently that the drivers that are on the outside are Brandon Cooper, Dalton McKenney. We know he's out next week, so put a line through him. Dalton McKenney's playoffs are done. He's effectively winning in at Auto Club. That's his only way back in. And Ryan Catalano is minus 11, so he's going to have a great one. But remember, the drivers that were on the outside looking in last time out were Facinato and Catalano, right? So they had some work to do. My apologies, Facinato and Holland. Well, Holland now exits this one at third, effectively, because you got lock Trey Whitehead in, and then Alan Dobbs and Peyton Holland are the first 2. So he's done a great job to put himself a long, long way clear. Needed to do that tonight, give himself some breathing room, and he's done that. I think that's huge.
Absolutely. So, I mean, obviously we heard a little bit of a quiver in the voice of Peyton Holland with Charlotte Roval on the horizon here. We've got to assume there's some other drivers as well that we're talking about here in the playoff conversation, whether it be above or below the cut line, that are eyeing that racetrack and maybe not going in with a whole lot of confidence. With Auto Club on the horizon and how close the points are currently looking right around that cut line, about half dozen drivers in that conversation, what do you think the mindset's got to be for those drivers going into next week?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is, keep yourself alive. To talk to you from a road course perspective, if you run every lap and you run every lap clean, that is far better than having issues. And I gotta tell you, it's really, really different. We talked about the suspension, the car bobbling and bouncing around. So, it's not as easy to just sort of lock yourself in and put the head down and do what you got to do. So, put the head down, see what you got to do. And the biggest thing for me is just keep yourself consistent. Don't try and outbreak yourself. I would rather see guys running half a second slower a lap, but making no mistakes across the course of it than trying to press on and really wreck things. And the other thing about the Charlotte Roval, very difficult to get an overtake done. Very, very difficult. The couple of crucial brakings, basically just waiting on a mistake from the car ahead. If you're running, I think you got to be 3/4 of a second a lap faster to actually get the job done around there. That's sort of the offset you got to be looking for.
Yeah, shorter road course, to your point, very tight corners. Going to be very interesting to see what it's going to do in terms of the part it's going to play in determining what the outlook will be going into our second elimination race of the season in a couple weeks' time when we get to the West Coast at the Auto Club Speedway. We congratulate Trey Whitehead as he picks up his second win on the season. He's locked himself into the round of 8, taking tonight's Red Line Racing 200 under the lights at the Atlanta Super Speedway. We thank you all for tuning into our coverage here tonight. Join us right back here next Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as we will bring you coverage from the Charlotte Roval, the middle race of this round of 12, the final road course stop of the 2025 season for the Esports Oval League's Grind Cup Series. For Scott Rankin, I'm Seth Cole. Thanks for spending your Wednesday night with us. We'll see you next week as the playoffs continue here on the Flatout Racing Network, FRN.
This broadcast is the copyrighted work of Flatout Racing Network and may not be rebroadcast, retranslated, or used in any form without the express written consent of Flatout Racing Network and iRacing.com Motorsports Simulations. Flatout Racing Network would like to thank you for your support, and